with civilian targets, then you can expect an escalation from Israel. That's what everybody's trying to avoid. Hezbollah doesn't need this. Iran definitely doesn't need it. And because of the delay, it's been a couple of weeks now, there are some people who are saying, well, maybe Iran really hasn't decided what they're going to do yet.
And we, of course, will be keeping a very close eye on the situation there in the Middle East. Well, by tomorrow morning, a storm system now forming in the Atlantic could strengthen into a tropical storm Ernesto. This is ahead of a potential landfall in Puerto Rico. It could be a major hurricane. It's not expected to be any threat, though, to the U.S. mainland. We will keep an eye on that for you as well. And finally, in WSB News About Your Health, the new needle-free alternative to the EpiPen. The Neffy's been approved by the FDA for emergency treatment of allergic reactions. Medical contributor from CBS, Dr. Celine Gounder.
For a lot of parents are just as afraid of needles as kids are oftentimes. Yeah. And so this gives a nice alternative to make sure that parents are not afraid to give this life-saving treatment.
Now, people who have private health insurance that covers Neffy can expect to pay about $25 for each prescription. For people without insurance, it's going to cost you more, about $200. It should hit pharmacy shelves within about 8 weeks. As we take a look at the markets, the Dow right now is down 22 points at 39,474. NASDAQ is up about 0.5%, and the S&P is up slightly. It's time now for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Veronica Harrell's in the WSB 24-hour traffic center with a look at the roads.
And right now, Sabrina, folks are running into some delays as they travel 75 northbound, leaving Highway 155. Earlier crash at Jodico Road, exit 222, all off to the right, and 75 southbound. That's just volume from 675 over to Jodico Road. Moving elsewhere, downtown connector, just a few brake lights both directions, 75, 85 north and southbound. Crash clearing over on Lawrenceville Highway at North Druid, and construction continues. 285 westbound, the outer loop over at Ashford Dunwoody Road, exit 29. It's in a right lane. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
Time now for Atlanta Radio's only 5-day forecast, sponsored by Shoemate, the official air conditioning of summer. Here's WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards.
Blue sky, sunshine, and a high of 91 for today. Low humidity in place, so it's a dry heat for this afternoon, and temperatures cooling quickly into the mid to upper 60s for tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon, mostly sunny, high 92. Wednesday, a mix of sun and clouds, morning low 70, afternoon high 91. Thursday and Friday, partly cloudy skies with morning lows in the low 70s, daytime highs in the low 90s. Our next chance of rain is not until Saturday.
83 degrees in Woodstock, 81 in Roswell. Brazelton is 83. We'll have more news at 12:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
The 5K a day bonus blitz keyword is school. SCHOOL, school. Enter the keyword school into the WSB Radio app or go to WSBRadio.com/cash. You have until 12:30 for your chance to win $1,000. The keyword is school.
Greetings, America. Welcome. It's Eric Erickson here. The phone number, if you want to be on the program, 877-973-7425. Delighted to have you with me across the nation. As always, if you text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777, you can get the live stream, the show notes, the podcast, so much more. And we will be rolling out in podcast form the audio of all the interviews from the gathering. It was a great time. We had Brian Kemp's first public statement after Donald Trump's attacks on him the prior weekend. Mike Pence's first comments about the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. Mitch McConnell's first interview outside of Kentucky since 2019. My buddy Chip Roy gave a barn burner of an address to the crowd. Got all that stuff. We'll get into some of that audio for you later in the show. Right now, however, I need to be provocative. I'm going to ask you to do something, particularly if you're a Donald Trump supporter. I want you to listen to this whole monologue because I'm about to make a lot of you really mad, and it's not my point. But what I say is going to make you mad, and then you're going to want to hang up and call the radio station and complain. But you should actually listen to everything I'm about to say to the bitter end. Because I need to start with a question. Trump supporters, more than any other group on the right, say Republicans have to fight like the Democrats. Republicans need to be as ruthless as the Democrats. That's what they say. You all know it. He fights. That's why they want Trump. He fights. Those other Republicans, the Romneys, the McCains, they sell out. Donald Trump fights. He is ruthless, and you got to be as ruthless as the Democrats to win. You got to do what the Democrats do to win. Whatever it takes to win, it's all about we need the power. Give us the power. We're going to fight like the Democrats to get the power. If that's the case, when does the GOP do what the Democrats did and toss their own octogenarian candidate who is flailing about in the polls? Now, before you get mad, just listen to the rest of this. Some points to be made. How you answer that question will shape you mentally for the next less than 90 days of this election. Do you say, as some are already starting to say, well, the polls are rigged, you can't believe them. They were fine when Donald Trump was ahead, and now suddenly they're rigged. Democrats hated Nate Silver, and now Silver has improved Harris's odds. Suddenly they like Nate Silver. And the Republicans like Silver, now they hate him. Republicans believe the polling, now they don't. Democrats didn't believe it, now they do. Complete role reversal. Or as some old boomer told me on social media, it's actually the computers. The computer algorithm is going to decide who's the president. We could vote or not vote. It doesn't matter. It's the computers. It's the software. Or it's going to be stolen. You know, it's already, they're amping up. It's going to be stolen. No matter what happens, it's going to be stolen. The excuse making is setting in, and that's part of the problem here. And that's a warning sign for Republicans. The excuse making has begun. You have the mental, rhetorical challenges of Donald Trump, and the data out there looks bad. And I can tell you what's going on because there's a New York Times story that confirms my thesis. You know, it's the New York Times. See, if the New York Times says something interesting and positive about where Donald Trump is headed, you can believe it. But if not, it's got to be fake news, apparently. There's this. A week before a Hamptons fundraiser where he had a bunch of millionaires and billionaires present, on July 25th, Mr. Trump stunned one of his wealthiest patrons, Miriam Adelson, the widow of the casino magnate Sheldon Adelson, by having an aide, Natalie Harp, fire off a series of angry text messages to Mrs. Adelson in Mr. Trump's name, according to 3 people with knowledge of what took place. The texts were particularly jarring because Mrs. Adelson and Mr. Trump had a friendly meeting just a week earlier at the Republican National Convention, according to a person briefed on the matter. The texts complained about the people running Mrs. Adelson's super PAC, Preserve America, into which she is pouring millions of dollars to support Mr. Trump. At the time, Preserve America was spending nearly $18 million a week worth of ads aiding Mr. Trump in 3 battleground states. The texts said that the officials running Preserve America were rhinos, Republicans in name only, and that Mrs. Adelson's late husband would never have tolerated that, the people said. According to 2 of the people, aides to Mrs. Adelson later discovered the outburst against her had been encouraged by another major Trump donor, Ike Perlmutter, the former chairman of Marvel Entertainment, who had hoped in vain that Mrs. Adelson would contribute to a rival super PAC that he backs. The text messages prompted concerns as yet unrealized that Mrs. Adelson might scale back her support. Now, let's go back to what happened in Georgia on stage. Donald Trump, before he got on stage, had been surrounded by some angry old people in Georgia who don't like Brian Kemp for scuttling Buckhead City, an effort the legislature wouldn't allow to go forward to incorporate a new city in the northern Atlanta financial suburbs. So what did Donald Trump do? He got on stage and attacked Brian Kemp and his wife because an angry old man had gotten to him before he got on stage. And here another angry old man, Mr. Perlmutter, got to Donald Trump and railed against Ms. Adelson. What happened? Donald Trump channeled the anger towards Ms. Adelson. Donald Trump is now live again on Twitter. He just started posting about an hour ago. My guess is this is a campaign-controlled account and not necessarily him. That's a good thing. Donald Trump has been off his game since, understandably, he got shot. A bullet piercing his ear. That level of trauma does something to a person. He's now very angry. That anger is a natural traumatic response. The problem is there are less than 90 days to go, and Donald Trump is well off his game. He attracted attention over the weekend for attacking the Democratic senator of Montana for being fat, the biggest stomach he's ever seen, just a grossly big stomach. He's off his game. Now, Donald Trump lacks the discipline. You know, last week I spent several days diagnosing. Here's what you do. You go to local media, ignore the national media. You do a barnstorming press tour. You sit down with the local media. You let them do that. You build up your ground game. The problem is Trump is Trump. He's not going to change. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. If the Trump supporters who say we have to be as ruthless as the Democrats are right, then the Republicans need to toss Donald Trump from the race, because if you take the polling averages, pick your favorite polling average. You can say you have none, but you all look. His hard level of support has not risen from about 43 to 44%. In fact, what all the polling is doing right now, and this is where we need to head in this discussion, while you're still mad at me for my opening question, he hasn't gained support. What's happened is a lot of Democrats who didn't want to vote for Biden are coming home to Kamala Harris. It's notable that Harris's surge coincides with a collapse in support for Robert Kennedy. These Democrats no longer need a protest vote. So she's beginning to consolidate Democrats in a way Biden couldn't, and Trump is not bringing new people outside of his hardcore support to him, and that's a problem. If this continues, the Republicans will lose in November. But, and this is why the answer to the question, should the Republicans throw Donald Trump off the ballot, just like the Democrats did to Biden, the answer to the question is actually no. No. What we're seeing right now is partly a honeymoon effect from Kamala Harris. She's next week got her convention. She will define herself because the Trump campaign in the last 4 weeks have failed to define her. They will allow her to define herself. And her polling will probably go up a little more. But Donald Trump and his team, once everything is locked in, I have a stinking suspicion. One reason they've operated the way they've operated is because outside of the online clamor about Tim Walz that hasn't really pierced the national zeitgeist, national conversation, they're waiting for the convention to lock in the Harris-Walz ticket before they come out swinging hard with a national media campaign. Once the Democrats lock in their choices next week, then the Republicans will go to work publicly. They don't want the Democrats to pull the rug out from under them again. The problem here, though, for Trump is the clock is ticking on his ability to exercise some message discipline. Behind the scenes, his campaign is telling people he understands the problem. But behind the scenes, they're also telling people he's so angry, it's causing him problems. He's angry for lots of reasons. First and foremost, he nearly died. Secondly, his campaign was too successful in throwing Joe Biden overboard. The campaign of Donald Trump really had a big role in developing the national conversation about Joe Biden, which ultimately led to him leaving. His campaign was too successful. What they probably should have done is waited to accept Joe Biden's debates after Joe Biden received the Democratic nomination and locked him in place, where it becomes vastly more difficult to change the ballot. Trump doesn't need to be thrown overboard. In fact, frankly, I think that the Republicans now deserve to sink or swim with the Trump ticket. You put all your eggs in this basket, so now you're either going to own it or not. Now, if you lose, I know what's going to happen. We're going to relitigate stolen elections. The computer stole it. The algorithm picked it. There were nefarious dealings. It was China. It was Russia. Excuses will be made. Outcomes will never be accepted again in American politics. But ultimately, Trump deserves the opportunity to turn this around. And Republicans who dislike Donald Trump, and I'm not a fan, Republicans who dislike Donald Trump should give the man the opportunity. He took a bullet. He deserves the opportunity to turn his campaign around. He deserves the opportunity to reinvigorate his campaign with a message that focuses on Kamala Harris's policies, not her looks, not her background, not her race, not the size of other candidates' stomachs. Donald Trump deserves the opportunity. He weathered the storm. He took a bullet. Let him relaunch his campaign. He's got less than 90 days. That's the problem. That's why people are nervous. He has the opportunity to do it. He should be given the opportunity to do it. Now, in doing so, we have to understand the media is out to get him. The media is fully on board the Harris Walz campaign. They are doing everything they can to distract from Tim Walz lying repeatedly about his service record. They're doing everything possible to deflect from that. They're doing everything possible not to challenge Kamala Harris. The Trump campaign is trotting J.D. Vance out to do all of these interviews. Republicans say they have to be as ruthless as Democrats. Democrats threw their candidate overboard. There will be some Republicans say, well, we must do the same to Donald Trump. Actually, no. What you should do is you should be very vocal to Donald Trump, who cares greatly for his base, by the way. Trump actually does really care about his hardcore supporters. And so those hardcore supporters owe it to Donald Trump to be loudly candid with Donald Trump that you got to focus on Harris's policies. Stop with the petty grievances. Stop with fights with Republicans. Stop with all the stuff about how she looks or what her race is. Focus on her policies, Donald Trump. Focus on how bad she would be for the economy. It's the economy, stupid. Focus on the economy. Focus on groceries. Focus on gas. Focus, focus, focus. If Donald Trump's not capable of doing it, well, he's the same Donald Trump we've always had, and it'll be Republicans who have to hold themselves and his supporters accountable after Election Day for getting the same results you got in 2020. Again, if you think it's going to be stolen and it was stolen in 2020, why the hell do you nominate the guy who had it stolen from him when he was sitting the president, and now he's not the sitting president? But otherwise, Donald Trump is owed the right to reboot his campaign. He's got to do so immediately. He should not be tossed off the ballot. Republicans who want to stop Kamala Harris should actually rally around Donald Trump. Wish him well, pray for him, and be very, very vocal. Don't hide it, but be loud about it, that your campaign has got to change. Donald Trump cares about his support. He cares about his base. He cares deeply about his base being taken advantage of by grifters on the right. If he cares that much about them, he doesn't want to disappoint them. But his base of support, has to be vocal that this isn't working. Fix your message. Get it done today. You are our nominee, and we've got to stop Harris. If he can do that, maybe he can still win this thing. Because I'm not convinced all the Hispanics saying they're going to vote for Kamala Harris really want her in office. And that's something the Trump campaign is going to have to figure out.
Want to be on the show?
Hello? I'd love your show.
Call Eric now at 877-973-25.
1221 in the Cool Ray Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. Delays remain with this construction. 285 westbound, the outer loop. It is over at Ashford Dunwoody Road, exit 29, knocking out a right lane, slowing things down between Doraville and Dunwoody. Speaking of construction, you got it. Travel advisory over on I-85 northbound at Highway 441, exit 149. Construction knocks out a right lane there as well, causing tough delays over through Commerce. Avoid all of that. Use State Route 15. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
The 5K a day bonus blitz keyword is school. SCHOOL, school. Enter the keyword school into the WSB Radio app or go to WSBradio.com/cash. You have until 12:30 for your chance to win $1,000. The keyword is school.
You need new air conditioning, but options and pricing can be confusing, so you keep throwing money into your old system. Well, now you can finally stop repairing and start replacing. Doug Turnbull here at Guardian Home Experts, the company my family and I trust, have figured it out by offering you the most affordable options, the highest quality work, and impeccable customer service from a local family-owned company. Right now, with Guardian and Daikin, you'll receive a $1,450 instant rebate and 0% interest for up to 60 months. That's as low as $99 a month to own a qualifying system, not a lease. When I say the most affordable options, that means Guardian offers a meter beat price match guarantee up to $500. Details are online. I know you'll become a Guardian customer for life just like me, so get your free estimate today and they'll install tomorrow.
Call 470-EXPERTS, Guardian Home Experts.
Hello, this is Brant Frost, founder and president of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on the station. For over 30 years, First Liberty has helped hundreds of small businesses grow by saying yes when the big banks say no. On Wall Street, opportunities to earn big returns are everywhere, but for Main Street investors, those opportunities are often hard to find. Until now. Our First Liberty notes are now open to qualified Main Street investors paying interest rates of 8 to 13% while helping to fuel the growth of small businesses right here in Georgia. With a few basic qualifications and with as little as $25,000, qualified Main Street investors just like you can earn an 8 to 13% interest rate. If this is you, we'd love to hear from you. Go to firstlibertyga.com and consider joining our First Liberty family today. That's firstlibertyga.com, firstlibertyga.com.
First Liberty notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. Purchasers must verify their SEC accredited investor status. Securities are not being offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
Well, summer's over for your kids and they're back to school. But mosquito season is far from over. See, mosquitoes don't use a calendar. Dave Baker here for Breda Pest Management. Your routine has changed, but those bloodthirsty mosquitoes are still hungry and waiting to feast on your family. But it's not just the bites. Mosquitoes are disgusting little germ factories that sometimes carry viruses that can be harmful to your family and pets. It's time to quit your itching and eliminate mosquito-borne viruses in your yard with one call to Breda. Every Breda technician is licensed, providing the knowledge and ongoing training to properly and safely treat your home. And if mosquitoes return within 30 days, only Breda will come back and retreat your yard at no additional cost. Nobody is better at beating mosquitoes and protecting your family from mosquito-borne viruses. Breda, they handle bugs and critters. BREDA Pest.com.
Breda, Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
How would you like some new windows for your home? Yeah, you. Guess what? Today is buy one, get one. And we'll throw in a brand new top-of-the-line gutter system. And guess what? If you call right now, it's half price. But you have to call right now or the deal goes away. Hi, this is Candace with Exovations, and have I got a tip for you? Don't fall for it. It's exhausting trying to keep up with all the fake specials being offered. And we all say the same thing. We're all licensed, we're all insured, we all have 5-star reviews. At Exovations, we want to earn your business the right way. But don't take our word for it. Let us show you why we say we are different from other contractors. To find out what it means to have an on-time, on-budget, and stress-free renovation, call me today at 770-205-2995 or online at exovations.com. That's exovations.com.
You can be live on Eric's show by calling 877-97-ERIC. That's 877-973-7425.
I got to tell you, I sometimes think that some of Trump's supporters are his worst enemy. For example, there are clips of Tim Walz claiming to have served in Afghanistan and to suffer PTSD that have surfaced on the internet, which isn't true. But if you actually watch the clip, that's not actually what he's saying at all. He's actually having conversations about soldiers, not himself, who served in Afghanistan, who suffered PTSD. And it's blatantly mischaracterized Tim Walz's statements, which undermines the credibility of all the statements where Tim Walz did lie about his record. When you start crying wolf about stuff that's not true, people don't believe the real stuff. And the real stuff is Tim Walz actually gave a speech where he claimed to have been at Bagram Air Force Base in Iraq. Bagram Air Force Base is not in Iraq, it's in Afghanistan. He was never there. And his commander put this up on Facebook. I do not regret that Tim Walz retired early from the Minnesota Army National Guard and did not complete the Sergeant Major Academy, broke his enlistment contract, or did not successfully complete any assignment as a Sergeant Major. Unwittingly, he got out of the way for better leadership. Thomas Behrens was the right leader at the right time. He sacrificed to answer the call, leaving his family business and farming partner brother to train, lead, and care for soldiers. He earned the privilege of being called Command Sergeant Major. Like a great leader, he ran toward and not away from the guns. I have no opinion on Mr. Walz's decision to leave service at the time he did. It was his right to retire early. I also have no criticism of his service as an E7 and E8. By all accounts and on the record, he was a competent chief of firing, battery gunner sergeant, and first sergeant. I cannot say the same of his service sitting rocked in the CSM chair. He did not earn the rank or successfully complete any assignment as an E9. It's an affront to the non-commissioned officer corps that he continues to glom onto the title. That's his battalion commander talking about Tim Walz. There's plenty there. You don't have to make stuff up about him. There's plenty of stuff there, and Republicans should make this a big issue. It's circulating big on social media, but it has yet to penetrate the national conversation of people who are off Twitter. Some of these super PACs should step up and make sure it does. Now, I got to tell you, I had a lot of great sponsors at my event this week, The Gathering. Americans for Prosperity was one of them. They've been a partner for some time, and I'm delighted that they stepped up, did some great panel discussions, and helped make it possible. You can also sign up for Americans for Prosperity. As I was telling people at the event, Americans for Prosperity is the nation's leading and largest grassroots organization. They will get you, bring you in, train you up as an activist, as a volunteer, as someone who can knock on doors and persuade voters about our side's issues. They'll educate you on our side's issues. They'll teach you how to go to your local government and state government to advance our side's issues. They focus on school choice and families and deregulation and small business and freedom and free markets. They would love to have you partner with them. If you're interested in finding out more, go to americansforprosperity.org. americansforprosperity.org. I thank them greatly for their friendship, for their sponsorship this weekend, for their help with this radio program, and really encourage you to check them out, americansforprosperity.org.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 12:30. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news sponsored by Jim Ellis Automotive. This just in, Georgia is ranked number 1 in the Associated Press preseason college football poll. This is the second year in a row that Georgia has been ranked number 1. The Bulldogs receiving 46 first-place votes to finish comfortably ahead of number 2 Ohio State, which got 15 top votes. Oregon rounding out the top 3. Your weather for today, it's going to be mostly sunny and warm. Highs around 91 this afternoon, says WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Now to DeKalb County, where officers are investigating what they say appears to be a murder-suicide. A mother and her 11-year-old daughter found shot to death at the Polo Club Apartments on Ashley Creek Circle. No names have been released. In Cobb County, 2 people in the hospital after being hit by a train early this morning. It happened around 3 on the CSX line that runs past Dobbins Air Reserve Base near West Atlanta Street and Oakland Drive. Police say one of the people that was hit suffered leg and head injuries. The other had a hip injury. No word on why they were on the tracks to begin with. A new study shows that daily marijuana use greatly increases the risk of head and neck cancers. Researchers at the University of Southern California analyzed millions of medical records. They specifically focused in on patients with cannabis use disorder, which means they continue to smoke pot daily, even if it triggers serious health issues. They found that those people had a 3 to 5 times greater likelihood of developing head and neck cancer. As we take a look at the markets, the Dow right now is down 85 at 39,411. NASDAQ is up 89, so up about 0.5%, and the S&P is up slightly. It's 1232.
Eric Erickson for Hip Nation with a question for small business owners. What would you do if, no strings attached, I handed you $50 or $80 or $100,000 in extra cash flow each year? Give your employees a raise? Pay off debt? Put it in your own pocket? If you're attracted to the idea of an infusion of newfound cash, drop your expensive health insurance and give Hip Nation a call. Hip Nation can save you an impactful amount of money and improve the quality of healthcare for your employees. A 13-person company switched to Hip Nation and saved $80,000 and then used the windfall to buy a new air conditioning system for their warehouse. So I'm going to ask you again, what would you do if I gave you $50, $80, or even $100,000? Go to HipNation.com. You'll find out the savings are real. Then start putting money you save on health insurance back into your business or even into your pocket. HipNation.com. That's HipNation.com. The call's free. Your savings are life-changing.
A beautiful landscape starts with lush and well-maintained grass, but is complete with details like perfectly manicured edges and bushes that look like an artist trimmed them. I am an artiste who loves to work with my emotions, without a blade of grass or bush trimming to be found. I have become one with the grass. What? Ouchie. Whether you're a homeowner with a big yard or a pro with lots of ground to cover, find the right Steel Power equipment to help you pursue a picture-perfect lawn at Campbell's Lawn Equipment. Campbell's Lawn Equipment offers the best pricing and available rebates from the manufacturers, and every piece of equipment comes assembled and tested by one of their skilled technicians. You'll be shown how to operate and maintain your purchase, and you can count on Campbell's Lawn Equipment to carry the necessary parts to service and maintain your equipment. Family owned and operated for over 50 years, with 3 convenient locations in McDonough, Forest Park, and newest location open in Noonan off Greenville Street. Stop in at Campbell's Lawn Equipment today. Open Monday through Friday, 8 to 6. Online at campbellsequipment.com.
It takes a strong person to give a soft answer. A soft answer is a powerful weapon. King Solomon said a soft answer has the power to turn away wrath. Use it in your marriage, with your kids, at work, even in a political discussion. When the other person is starting to escalate, respond softly, gently. Ultimately, it'll help you win over the person, not just win an argument over the person. This is Tom Gray, and This Stuff Matters.
ThisStuffMatters.net.
All right, live team coverage of traffic and weather. Here's Veronica Harrell.
Right now, issuing a travel advisory over in the Canton area. A crash 575 southbound below Highway 140, exit 16, knocks out a right lane, causing some delay. If it gets too busy for you, think about using Highway 5. The Georgia 400 did have some debris. Georgia 400 southbound around Haynesbridge Road. It has since cleared, and it is a good ride between Alpharetta and Sandy Springs. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
This is WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Mostly sunny today with low humidity, daytime high 91, cooling down to the mid to upper 60s for tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon, mostly sunny, high 92. Wednesday, partly cloudy, high 91.
All right, we'll have more news at 1 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Coop at 95.5 WSB.
Smart, fearless, and occasionally funny. You're listening to The Erick Erickson Show.
Welcome back. It is Erick Erickson here. I am delighted to have you with me. The phone number is 877-973-7425. If you'd like to be on the program, I'm happy to have you. As always, if you text Erick, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777, you can get the show notes, the podcast, the live stream. Follow me around social media. We're going to be trotting out the clips from the gathering on social media, and we'll be rolling out the interviews. We're going to extract the audio from the video. Oh, that reminds me. Charlie and Philip, I need you to do this. We'll do 2 a day or so, and over the next week, we'll roll out those conversations. I mean, we had Brian Kemp and Doug Ducey and Kevin Stitt and Ron DeSantis. We had Mike Pence, Mitch McConnell, Rick Scott, Kelly Loeffler, Chip Roy, Kevin Hearn. So we did a former vice president, 4 governors, 3 senators, 2 members of Congress, 2 Senate candidates, and a whole lot more. Honestly, one of the best conversations we had, and I want to talk about it later in the show, is on China and the incursions into this country that people have no idea the Chinese have issues. Oh, you know some of them, but you don't know all of them. It was actually kind of like freaked out the crowd by just how much China has already invaded us, and people don't even realize it. We'll get into that discussion later. Right now, however, I want to shift gears to something else. The Harris Walz team is doing a very careful job, with the help of the American media, to not campaign on the press. That is, they're not doing interviews. Kamala Harris isn't sitting down for Meet the Press. Neither is Walz. They're fundraising, planning the convention, doing scripted, tightly organized events with teleprompters. They're not doing free-form interviews. Donald Trump is not either. But what Trump is doing is sitting out J.D. Vance. What's so funny to me is that one of Kamala Harris's campaign directors, after a series of very good interviews with J.D. Vance on television this weekend, said, it's disastrous interviews. So you don't actually have to go watch the interviews yourself. If you're a Democrat, you can just take your talking point from the top. Say, oh, they were disastrous interviews. Actually, they were really good interviews, including this encounter with Dana Bash on CNN.
That he said weapons of war. He was talking in a campaign stop about, he was trying to talk about gun control.
Sure.
And he said, weapons of war I carried in war. I will say that the Harris-Walz campaign did say that the governor misspoke there.
Sure.
Do you accept that?
He misspoke. Another word is that he lied about it, and he didn't correct the record for 15 years until he was put under political pressure because I called it out, Dana. Whatever you want to call it, a misspeaking or a lie, I think Tim Walz should have to correct the record. Now, you pointed out a soldier who defended his service. There have been a number of soldiers who served with Tim Walz who have criticized him on the exact same grounds that I have, because it's not right to misstate or to embellish what you've done, and I think that's what he did.
She also pointed out it was done on CNN. Did you miss the interview? Here's a little more of this.
Okay, you've now asked me 3 questions about comments that I made 3 years ago.
Uh-huh.
I wonder what Kamala Harris thinks about the fact that she supported policies that opened the American southern border. I wonder what Kamala Harris thinks about the fact that she lied to the American people about Joe Biden's mental facility for the office. You are interviewing me, Dana, because I respect the American people enough to sit down for an interview.
I appreciate that.
Kamala Harris has been the nominee for 3 weeks. She hasn't sat down for a real interview.
Believe me, we are asking. You're not going to get a disagreement there.
But the point is, Dana, you've got me for 15 minutes or however long you have me. We should be talking about public policies that matter. How are we going to lower inflation? How are we going to reduce the cost of food and housing? How are we going to close down that southern border? We've talked so little about that. We've talked a lot more about a sarcastic remark I made 3 years ago. I think we should talk about the issues that most Americans care about.
I only asked.
He's really good at this. He's really good at this.
I believe that Kamala Harris is whatever she says she is, but I believe importantly that President Trump is right that she's a chameleon. She pretends to be one thing in front of one audience. She pretends to be something different in front of another audience. Look, Dana, she's not running a political campaign. She's running a movie. She only speaks to voters behind a teleprompter. Everything is scripted. She doesn't have her policy positions out there. She hasn't answered why she wanted to ban fracking, but now she doesn't. She wanted to fund police, but now she doesn't. She wanted to open the border, but now she doesn't. She should have to answer for why she presents a different set of policies to one audience and a different set of policies to another audience. And I think that's what President Trump is getting at. This is a fundamentally fake person. She's different depending on who she's in front of.
Again, he is focused. His running mate isn't. That's why they've got Vance doing these interviews, and he's the only one of these candidates. It is kind of wild. You've got 4 people running for national office coast to coast, and only one of them is sitting down with the media regularly. And it's not just CNN. I mean, he also sat down and did it with John Carl on ABC.
What President Trump said, John, is that Tim Walz has supported taking children from their parents if the parents don't consent to gender reassignment. That is crazy. And by the way, Tim Walz gets on his high horse about mind your own damn business. One way of minding your own damn business, John, is to not try to take my children away from me if I have different moral views than you.
Allowing your state to kidnap children to change their sexual identity.
What I just explained to you, I would describe as kidnapping, John. He has absolutely done this stuff. It's not crazy, John. Come on.
It's not.
You should not be able to take people's children away from them.
And that's not what he's proposed.
If you disagree with decisions about gender reassignment, yes, he has proposed that, John. He absolutely has.
By the way, John Carl, 2 years ago, we've got the video. I forgot to download it for you, but 2 years ago, John Carl talked about Kamala Harris's role as at the border and overseeing the southern border. And I was like, she was never the border czar. John Carl, I think, is one of the people who's been broken by Trump, doesn't want Trump to get back in office, and yet J.D. Vance sat down and did an interview with him. J.D. Vance was willing to do the interview. It was combative, but he was willing to do it. He has done he's doing the full Ginsburg. Back in the day, there was an elections lawyer back in 2000 for George W. Bush named Ben Ginsburg. He's one of the best election lawyers to ever walk the planet. And Ben Ginsburg would do, they now call it the full Ginsburg. Ben Ginsburg would do Face the Nation, This Week, Meet the Press, and Fox News Sunday on Sunday. He would appear on all 4 shows on the same day. They refer to it to this day as doing the full Ginsburg. J.D. Vance is on his way to doing the full Ginsburg, and Kamala Harris isn't, Donald Trump isn't, Tim Walz isn't. And Vance is quick on his feet. And he's smart to do this. But I also need to say something else. It is an issue Republicans should, in fact, take on. Tim Walz lying about his service record. God bless him for his 24 years in service. He lied about how it ended. He didn't misrepresent. He lied. But you know what? Tim Walz is not running to be president of the United States of America. Kamala Harris is running to be president of the United States of America. And every day that Republicans are talking about Tim Walz or John Tester's girth or Kamala Harris's race is not a day Republicans are talking about Kamala Harris's policies. It's a day they're not talking about Kamala Harris's flip-flops. It's a day that we're not talking about Kamala Harris covering for Joe Biden like this.
We have a very bold and vibrant president in Joe Biden.
But a majority of Americans, a majority of Democrats, according to our new poll, say they don't want President Biden to run again. What do you say to them?
I mean, George, I think that age is more than a chronological fact, to be very frank with you. It's about thinking about whether we have in our leader, which we do in Joe Biden, somebody who is bold. I mean, think about it. And in Joe Biden, we have a president who is probably one of the boldest and strongest American presidents we have had in his response to the needs of the American people. But he is an extraordinary leader, and I wish that people could see what I see, because there's only one person who sits behind that resolute desk.
You're 58 now. If you win the second term, as you and the president are running to do, he would be 86 at the end of it. The Wall Street Journal had a poll showing 2/3 of Democrats say Joe Biden is too old to run again. Are you prepared to be commander-in-chief?
Yes, I am, if necessary. But Joe Biden is going to be fine. And let me tell you something. I work with Joe Biden every day. The work that under Joe Biden's leadership our administration has accomplished is transformative.
There you go. How can you believe anything she says about no longer supporting fracking? How can you believe anything she says? You know, it's so interesting. You got Simone Sanders, who used to work for on MSNBC now, who is running the propaganda for Harris. Listen to this soundbite. This is very important. Listen to this.
Some additional policy proposals this past weekend, one on exempting tips from taxes, federal taxes, some more specific contours around Harris's border policy if she were to become president, not just signing that very strong enforcement bill, but also creating more pathways to citizenship.
Did you get that at the beginning? Kamala Harris claims that she supports getting rid of the tax on tips, that's one of her public policy proposals. Not one of her public policy proposals. In fact, it's one she criticized, but it looks like the polling shows it's popular. A policy proposal from Donald Trump. Kamala Harris has decided to take that policy proposal and claim it's her own. And on MSNBC now, remember, people on MSNBC are less likely to watch other news sources than even people at Fox. Fox people get out of their bubble. MSNBC people, they get their news from MSNBC. So today, there are a lot of idiots walking around the country who believe that Kamala Harris has come up with a new idea on her own to end the taxation of tips. And they love it because Kamala Harris proposed it, even though it was a signature initiative of Donald Trump's. But how can you believe her? This is a woman who lied for Joe Biden. This is a woman who supported banning fracking and now doesn't. It's John Kerry on steroids. And notice, of course, the media continues to cover for her. I distinctly believe, and I truly do believe this with respect to my friends who are in the press, that I think one of the avenues that a super PAC somewhere should go down is making the press an issue in this race. They covered for Joe Biden in the same way they're now covering for Kamala Harris. They refused to ask her the tough questions. undermining the press's credibility is actually a secret weapon I think the Republicans can use. How can you believe this that they're saying about Donald Trump when look at what all they've lied for the Democrats? Undermine everything they do. Undermine everything they say. Treat the press as the enemy these days, as Donald Trump has wanted to do. He called him the enemy of the people, enemy of the American public. They kind of are at this point on the Democratic side, so treat them as such. Treat them as a propaganda organ for the Democrats and undermine their credibility further. Drive them all into bankruptcy. Might as well. I mean, they're clearly out to get the Republican side. Fair and balance my foot. They are out to destroy Donald Trump as best they can. So treat them as agents of the Democrats. Remind people how they lied for Joe Biden and covered for Joe Biden and conspired with the Biden team. Remind people of that. And then undermine Kamala Harris. Undermine Kamala Harris's claims. Note how the media is now covering for her on her reversal on fracking and everything else. J.D. Vance is out there doing the hard work. He's putting in the sweat equity. Now the campaign's got to step up. We need to see the ads. They need to be on TV. They need to be on radio. They need to be by text message. Yes, send people video files to their phones. It's highly effective. Had that conversation with my buddy Chris Wilson on stage at the gathering, that it actually, more so than direct mail, video is sending videos, short little clips to people's phones is actually a very persuasive way to change people's minds on stuff. We should be doing these sorts of things on our side. The fact that we're not right now, maybe they are waiting so that they get through the nomination, and then once it's all locked in, they'll do it. But I don't know. At least Vance is out there putting in the work. He's turning into showing his worth on the campaign trail as he goes out and does these combative interviews with the press where members of the press express their frustration with him. When you've got members of the press asking him combative questions and he smoothly deflects those questions as he does and they complain about him as an interviewer, that's actually a very good sign for his abilities on the stage.
He's got the courage to tell you the actual truth, even when it isn't popular. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
1249, the Coolray Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. Right now, stalled motorists 85 northbound at Old Peachtree Road. That's exit 109. Partially in the HOT lane, going to cause maybe a few brake taps for you. Moving elsewhere, you are braking and tapping because of construction. Outer Loop 285 westbound over at Ashford Dunwoody Road, exit 29. It knocks out a right lane. And the crash over in Canton has cleared 575 southbound below Highway 140, exit 16. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
It pays to have the WSB radio app. Download it today and get ready for the Blitz.
The WSB 5K a day bonus blitz. 5 chances every weekday to win $1,000.
Your next chance to win is coming up at 2. It's a Blitz.
The WSB 5K a day bonus blitz.
From 95.5 WSB.
Download the WSB radio app now.
I'm with Chris Hoffman, host of Money Unleashed here on WSB. The 401k is the primary savings tool for many of us. Do you know what's in it? Would you like to know more? Chris Hoffman is offering you a chance to get your very own 401k x-ray.
We can do a complete study for you. You don't have to sit here and have us do it in front of you. We'll take the hours it takes for us to research everything, populate everything, run these reports for you, and we give you the report. It's about a 10, 14-page report. It basically shows you how your portfolio has behaved over the past year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. It also shows you the risk profile of that mix of asset classes that you have in there. It'll show you how much money you've got in bonds versus stocks versus alternative versus cash. It'll also give you a scatter plot diagram, which basically tells you what positions are highly volatile or are underperforming your overall portfolio mix. So really in-depth report, great study. Everybody seems to find value in it. So let us do that for you before you even come in for your first appointment. We'd have that and we'll give it to you. It's a great way to start, and it gives you information on your current portfolio. And there's usually 2 or 3 really nice golden nuggets in there of things that you can affect change on. I would take this opportunity to call us or go online and order your personalized portfolio x-ray.
Get the most out of your 401k by calling right now, 404-737-3858. That's 404-737-3858, and ask for your personalized 401k x-ray. Do it today.
Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Wealth Advisors, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Hoffman Financial Group, Incorporated. Georgia Insurance License Number 163546.
WSB Atlanta, WSBB FM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Are the effects of diabetes, prostate cancer, hypertension, or high cholesterol robbing you of your ability to perform in the bedroom? Choice Men's Health can help you eliminate ED and get your bedroom performance back in just one visit. Choice Men's Health offers breakthrough treatments for ED and performance issues in the bedroom to help you regain your confidence and give you back the intimacy with your partner. Call Choice Men's Health right now to make an appointment and find out how you can eliminate ED on the first visit. Popular name brand pills like Viagra and Cialis don't work for everyone and can have serious side effects. Choice Men's Health custom medications work immediately, even if you have a medical history or think you're too old to perform like you used to. Choice Men's Health can help you have a fulfilling sex life again. Call Choice Men's Health today at 404-400-1170. That's 404-400-1170. Once again, that's 404-400-1170.
95.5 WSB, your 2024 election station.
Want Eric's weekly recipes? They're super delicious. Text recipe to 33777 now.
Guys, I forgot the last commercial break to tell you about Vision Computers. If you call them at 404-COMPUTER, go to visioncomputers.com. They can build you computers, and they can be your IT support for your existing computers. Just $179 a year. You might even get a discount if you call them at 404-COMPUTE and tell them I sent you. They're great people. Actually, the owner came to the gathering, got to hang out with him a little bit on Thursday night. Just a great guy. Around the country, it doesn't matter whether you're in Salem, Oregon, or you're in Palm Beach, Florida, Vision Computers can actually build computers for you or for your company, for your home or for your office, and then they'll service them as well. And by the way, the tech support comes free if you get your computer from them. But if you've got a computer and you need help, you can't afford an IT department, Vision can take on that role. All you do is call them at 404-COMPUTE for $179 per computer a year, not a month, but a year. Your employee or you get the special phone number. You call them 15 seconds or less. You get the answer to what's ailing your computer. So work with them, any one of you nationwide, 404-COMPUTE or visioncomputers.com. Now, I want to call on Chad from Montgomery, Alabama. Chad, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, Eric. We talked a couple of weeks ago on labor law issues. Hey, listen, I've got a plan that I think that the Trump campaign ought to think about. I call it the R&R plan. It's rest and reboot. He should take the 5-day convention period for the Democrats, go off the trail, huddle up with his team, get a little bit of rest, and then go through the policy issues that he should talk about every time. Come up with a list: fracking, border, men and women's sports, inflation, home ownership, taxes on tips, the international mess, and say, look, here's the deal, Mr. President. Everything you should say should be about one of these 10 issues. Do not go off the script. Now, of course, he's Donald Trump, so he's going to go off script, but at least you can start nailing in, to his head, you've got to talk about these issues, because that's why JD is being so successful in his interviews and so forth. He no matter what, was thrown at him by Dana Bash, he came back. And there was another interviewer that he did several interviews, Kristen Welker, who was also just as aggressive. He did a great job in that interview. But I think Trump obviously is discombobulated. He was so hoping he was going to run this campaign against Biden. He can't get over the fact that Biden's no longer the candidate. And I really think that's thrown him for a loop. But if he'll just take the time, he's already said he's going to kind of lay low during the convention. If they can just, squirrel him away for 4 or 5 days, sit down, somebody who has an honest ear with him, maybe one of his sons who's not a sycophant, sit down and say, look, Dad, we got to get back on message, because you have no message right now. And you're, I want Trump to win, but your monologue was spot on. And I know so many Republicans like myself that are saying the same thing. We are literally tearing our hair out watching this, because It's so easy, Eric, you know. And then I read this headline today. He's talking about suing the Justice Department for $100 million, you know. And I'm like, stop it, you know.
Yeah.
Talk about fracking, border, men and women inflation, home ownership, that people can't even buy a house anymore. Their tuition's so high. They have, you know, most of the folks I know that are my children's age, they don't have the money to buy a house because they have $150,000 in tuition.
Yep,
You know,
you're right.
to repay. And a lot of that is because the government took over, you know, the funding program for the colleges, and the colleges raised the tuition to meet the level of funding they could get.
Yeah.
You know,
Look,
so
Chad, you're
that's
absolutely right. All I can do is say amen. I got to let you go there because I got this commercial break coming. But man, that's so well said. I hope I know they listen to the show. I hope they're listening to you. This hour of the program brought to you by First Liberty Building and Loan. If you're buying a building, buying a franchise, need a heavy equipment loan, they can help you. Reach out to them, firstlibertyga.com, firstlibertyga.com. When we come back, as you are aware, I'm a friend of David French's. He has written a piece in the New York Times saying he's voting for Kamala Harris. Oh, do I have some thoughts on that? I'll get into them when we come back.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. When you use Angie for your home projects, you know all your jobs will be done well. Roof repair? Done well. Kitchen sink install? Done well. Deck upgrades? Done well. Electrical upgrade? Done well. Angie's been connecting homeowners with skilled pros for nearly 30 years, so we know the difference between done and done well. Hire high-quality, certified pros at Angie.com.
Don't let spring allergies make you miserable. Try the quick, drug-free solution trusted by over 4 million people, Navage. Only Navage uses suction to flush out your sinuses using refreshing saline, helping you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier. And here's even better news. Navage is now available at your local Sam's Club in a great new value pack. It's everything you need to start breathing better immediately at Sam's guaranteed best price. Navage, Navage, breathe easy.
News, weather,
Traffic. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 1 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news sponsored by Hip Nation. We do have breaking news this hour. A person has been killed after being hit by a train. This happened just a little bit ago around 12:15 off Howard Street and Blayton Circle in northwest Atlanta. The person was hit and killed. They have not yet been identified. This is the second crash involving a CSX train today. 2 men were hit and taken to the hospital in Cobb County after being hit around 3 this morning. Again, they are both in the hospital this afternoon. Mostly sunny and a high of 91 today, says WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. She'll have Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast coming up in just a couple of minutes. In DeKalb County, a mother and her 11-year-old daughter are dead in what police say appears to be a murder-suicide. Officers got a call about shots being fired last night just before 8. When they arrived at the Polo Club Apartments in the 1200 block of Ashley Creek Circle, they found the mother and her daughter dead. Both had been shot. No names have been released. The investigation is underway. This is new this afternoon. Georgia Bulldogs, well, they're starting the season ranked number 1.
The Dogs topped the Associated Press preseason college football poll released today. They're also number 1 in the coaches poll, which came out a week ago. Georgia gets 46 first-place votes in the AP poll. Ohio State is second, followed by Oregon, Texas, and Alabama. The Dogs' schedule includes games against teams ranked 4, 5, and 6 in the preseason poll. Georgia opens the season against number 14 Clemson at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, here on your home of the Dogs. Bill Kayaccio, 95.5 WSB.
The U.S. this afternoon is warning Iran not to keep assisting Russia in its war on Ukraine. Correspondent Cammie McCormick has more.
State Department spokesman Vedant Patel says the U.S. is deeply concerned by reports that Iran is planning to deliver hundreds of ballistic missiles to Russia. He says the U.S. is consulting with allies.
Together, we are prepared to deliver a swift and severe response if Iran were to move forward with the transfer of ballistic missiles, which would, in our view, represent a dramatic escalation.
Russian President Putin has promised a strong response to Ukraine's offensive that crossed over its border.
And we'll keep an eye on the situation and keep you updated. The White House wants to make it easier for you to cancel subscriptions and services that you may have signed up for. The Federal Trade Commission could finalize a proposal called Click to Cancel as soon as today. President Biden's domestic policy advisor acknowledging that companies make it easy to sign up for a subscription or service, but they make you jump through hoops to cancel it. The FTC again proposals hope to make ending a subscription as easy for consumers as it does as beginning a subscription. It's 102.
Dave Baker here for Air Quality Systems. Having your air ducts cleaned is great. It helps keep your home cleaner and has health benefits. But you need to be careful who you choose to clean your ducts. I received an email from a listener who told me she was quoted $499 for a duct cleaning, but she was charged over $1,400 with add-ons. That's just wrong. At Air Quality Systems, you get upfront pricing. The price you're quoted over the phone is the price you pay. Simply go to airqualitysystems.com and set your appointment today.
A Total Plumbing is now part of your trusted Ace Hardware Home Services team. Their expert plumbers are ready to provide top-notch service and repairs. Visit a-totalplumbing.com to learn more. A Total Plumbing and Ace Hardware Home Services, bringing helpful to your home.
Hey, it's Eric Erickson. I'm here with my friend, Dr. Brian Hill, owner and founder of Hip Nation. Tell me a recent experience about a company where you saw real employee savings.
We had an electricians company that decided to look into Hip Nation. Heard us on the radio, actually heard your voice, Eric. They reached out. We ran third plan. They compared to our solution at Hip Nation. For their 25 employees, they saved $114,000 in year one. And that's just the first year. That $114,000 is going to roll over year after year.
Brian, if I'm a small business owner looking at saving money and I'm looking at Hip Nation, what would you tell me is the compelling reason to check out Hip Nation?
Our goal is to help an employer save a significant amount of money and to make sure that their employees get great access to great health care. We see businesses as small as 5 employees saving as much as $50,000 by switching to us. We had a flooring company that just recently switched and put $50,000 back into their bottom line.
Go to hipnation.com to get a healthcare quote for your business today. The call's free. The savings are life-changing. That's hipnation.com.
When it comes to defending down bikers' rights, trust is everything and results matter. Hey, it's Eric Von Hessler for Steel Horse Law, local motorcycle injury attorneys who ride. They specialize in protecting bikers who've been hurt. The mega firms will send an investigator or a paralegal, not a lawyer. With Steel Horse Law, you'll meet directly with your own attorney to get you back on your feet, medical bills paid, back to work, and your case resolved. Schedule your free accident evaluation at steelhorselaw.com.
If you're seeing cracks in your drywall, stucco, bricks, around doors and windows, or in your flooring, you may have a foundation problem. Doug Turnbull here. Call Atlanta Ramjack. Foundation repair is all they do. Get your free inspection. Just Google Atlanta Ramjack.
Live team coverage of traffic and weather. Here's Veronica Harrell.
And right now, talking about delays, checking on a slow zone over on the outer loop, 285 westbound, trying to ramp on the 75 over in the Cobb Cloverleaf. Dealing with volume downtown, connector 75-85 south and north between I-20 and 17th Street. And the stalled motorist cleared, gone, 85 northbound at Old Peachtree Road, exit 109. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Mostly sunny today, high 91. Low humidity for this evening, so temperatures dropping into the mid to upper 60s for tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon, mostly sunny, high 92. Wednesday, a mix of sun and clouds, high 91.
And WSB Storm Tracker radar is clear. We have sunshine, 87 degrees on Peachtree Street here in Midtown Atlanta. It's 86 in Tucker. Mostly sunny, and 86 in Duluth. And Milton, you have 85 degrees right now. We'll have more news at 1:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Greetings, conversationalists. Welcome across the fruited plain. It is I, your host, Eric Erickson, and I am delighted to have you with me. The phone number is 877-973-7425. If you text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777, you can find the live stream, the podcast, the show notes, so much more. We'll be divvying up the interviews from the stage, the gathering. I was going to talk about the gathering right now, but I can't. I got to talk about something else, something a little more pressing. But first, there is some breaking news you need to know. You actually really need to know this. The Israeli government has ordered its military on high alert. The U.S. is expediting reinforcements to the Middle East, including a carrier group and a guided missile submarine. This word coming now, multiple media outlets have reporting in the last 15 minutes that the Israeli intelligence community's updated assessment is that Iran is poised to strike Israel in a matter of days, probably Wednesday when there's a Jewish holiday would be my guess. Not sure, but that would be my guess. Looks like it'll be a coordinated attack with Hezbollah from the north and through Syria in the northeast and operatives inside Israel. So buckle up. It's going to be interesting as we watch this. I will have more on this later in the show. Right now, I got to talk about something else. It was very notable. Several people attacked me, criticized me, called me suspect for interviewing Mitch McConnell at my gathering in Atlanta on Friday. The man agreed to sit with me, sometimes a critic of his over the last decade or two. And he agreed to sit down with me with no pre-screened questions, no proposed questions on their part, no topic off limits. He did it for 30 minutes live, unedited, on stage. He did not freeze. He did not stammer. He did not lose his train of thought. He is 82 years old. The President of the United States is not capable of doing that, and Mitch McConnell could. And to do so with someone who's been a critic of his. I appreciated it. What's bothersome to me are the number of people who say, well, I must be suspect if that man would sit down with me. Now I'll make myself more suspect to you. I know and like and consider David French a friend. We've known each other for quite a while. I don't know Nancy, his wife, very well, but I do know David. I've certainly prayed for his wife if she's battled cancer. He's a good guy who I like and completely disagree with on politics these days. And I believe we should be friends with people with whom we disagree on things. I think it's actually a sign of poor character when you are incapable of being friends with people with whom you disagree on politics. And I think David has the only thing worse than David's political views these days supporting Kamala Harris is his movie reviews. My gosh. Dude, every bad movie he seems to like. That maybe that's a warning sign. I like David. I just vehemently disagree with him, and I increasingly am convinced that David has allowed his critics to radicalize him. We have a friend who has since passed away, a mutual friend, who before he died had called me and asked me just to keep praying for David, that he was concerned that David was allowing the people who hate David to radicalize David in ways opposite them. And I do think when I read his New York Times pieces, oftentimes I think they're somewhat predictable in that whatever the outrage is on the right, David writes in the New York Times to tell them why they're wrong or to defend whatever position they're going against. And now David has come out and written a piece in the New York Times saying that he is going to vote for Kamala Harris. He's to stop Donald Trump so that Trumpism burns out of the conservative movement. To save the conservative movement, he's going to vote for Kamala Harris. There's also this organized effort, and it is mostly liberal theologians, I would note, some of whom have masked themselves as conservatives until exposed, who have come out and said they're evangelicals for Kamala Harris. Now, just so you understand, what is happening here is that many of these people are embracing the Flight 93 mentality of the old Michael Anton piece that they all ridiculed in 2016. In 2016, Michael Anton, who worked for Claremont Institute, wrote the now famous piece that essentially this is like the Flight 93 election. We got to grab the steering wheel back from the hijackers and be willing to crash the plane with Donald Trump, hold our nose and vote for a man we all know is as flawed as he is, because we got to save America, just like the people on that plane saved America from that flight crashing into the Capitol building. We got to save America, vote for Donald Trump, damn the consequences. It's better him than the other side. And now essentially these guys are all doing this with Kamala Harris. They all mocked the Flight 93 election, and they have, in so many cases, become what they hate. And again, this goes to, I think, what Donald Trump's ultimate superpower is. Donald Trump gets other people to behave in ways that they claim he behaves, and get other people to behave in ways his supporters behave. They all become each other. A side note here. I know more than you guys about the private things that happened to David French and his family from not just Trump supporters, but from people he went to church with. We got a taste of that ourselves in 2016. I mean, my wife announced to her Bible study that she had an incurable form of stage 4 lung cancer and had a woman come up to her and tell her she's going to pray for her, but wanted to beat me up for not supporting Trump in 2016. We had people show up at our house to threaten us. My kids got bullied and beat up at school. My daughter was given a guide on how to commit suicide, that maybe I would see the light and support Trump if she killed herself, from kids at our church's school, no less. I understand it. But I don't think you have to radicalize yourself against those people. And oftentimes I think the people who do radicalize themselves in opposition to those who hate them from their own former side don't even realize they've become radicalized themselves. But I think it happens. And I also understand this, and this I don't care if this offends you. Some of the biggest bullies in politics right now are actually Trump supporters. The amount of whiners and bellyachers and nasty people I know on the right who are Trump supporters, I can't tell you the growing number of people I know on the right who say, my problem isn't with Trump, it's with his supporters. I know plenty of people who say this, that it'd be better for Trump to lose, not because they want Kamala Harris, but because they want Trump's supporters to lose. And I work to not have my thinking go there. I get attacked on a daily basis of being insufficiently loyal, of being never Trump. So one of the reasons I put my money where my mouth was with Donald Trump, because I have found that all of these people who lecture me on being insufficiently loyal to Donald Trump haven't given him a penny, and I've given way more than a penny. But I understand the nastiness. I do. I experience it on a regular basis. I have experienced it on my front porch with people. I've experienced it in my kids' lives. I get that. But I also get this. Those conservatives and evangelicals who have decided that they're going to support Kamala Harris because they got to stop Donald Trump, or they got to stop his movement, or they got to punish his supporters, or however they want to frame it, what they're doing is actually giving the left license to not have to change. You can say you're voting for Kamala Harris to stop Donald Trump, but you know how the Harris team is going to interpret that is you're okay with her packing the Supreme Court with a bunch of leftists who will reinstitute Roe v. Wade and worse. You can say you oppose Kamala Harris's policies, but you get her elected, she's going to impose the policies you say you oppose, and you'll say you're fine with it because it wasn't Donald Trump and policies you preferred, but Donald Trump was so bad. The parties aren't going to get your nuance. They're going to get your endorsement. So you can say, I can never vote for a pro-abortion candidate, and you vote for Kamala Harris, you're voting for a pro-abortion candidate who wants to expand abortion rights. And if the Democrats get the Senate, of course, scrap the filibuster to impose abortion rights across America. Good luck with that. You are becoming exactly what you said you opposed, just in the opposite direction. You are becoming a Flight 93 candidate or voter. There's something else here, too. I have a lot of listeners who don't like Donald Trump and can't bring themselves to vote for him, and they're sitting it out. There will be those who say, well, if you sit it out, you're voting for Kamala Harris. Not really. You know, when I didn't vote for Trump in 2016, I was told I was supporting Hillary Clinton. And guess what? Donald Trump got elected. That's why some of these people who don't like Trump are saying, I'm going to vote for Harris because they really want to stop Trump. I refuse to give a pro-abortion candidate who, along with her vice president, hate churches and would shut down churches. Remember in COVID, Tim Walz shut down churches and left bars open. Tim Walz actually does support legislation to have DFACS, Department of Family and Child Services, take your children from you if you don't support their gender transitions. That's actually what you're voting for. You're not just voting for a candidate. You actually are voting for their policies. You can say, no, I can hold my nose and vote for this person, but that person is interpreting their win as your endorsement of their policies. They really don't care that you don't like their policies. You put them in power. They're not going to say, uh-oh, half the people who voted for me don't actually like my policies. I guess I can't support them or introduce them or push them. No, they're going to seize power, take it, and run with it because of you. There's a smarter play for evangelicals and conservatives who despise Donald Trump. These are narrow elections these days. These are narrow elections. These elections will be decided by about 50,000 to 100,000 people. You want to really decide the election and make a difference? Don't vote for them. Go vote and leave the top line blank. Because then you become a constituency that both sides have to woo. If they know, if Kamala Harris knows you're a Christian who hates Donald Trump, you're a conservative who hates Donald Trump, and you're going to go vote for her to stop Trump, she has no reason to moderate her position because you're a cheap date. You're going to put out for her, doesn't matter what she does. If you refuse to, you become a constituency that's up for grabs. In an election that's going to be decided by 50 to 100,000 people, you become a signature constituency that's in play. So if you view your vote as stewardship, if you steward it towards leaving that line blank or not voting, your vote is up for grabs. Again, I got to remind you of this anecdote. In 2000, Karl Rove realized after that narrow win by 539 votes in Florida that a bunch of evangelicals refused to go vote. And so the Bush White House steered massive number of policies towards showing evangelicals he really was one of them, including PEPFAR. The result is a massive wave of evangelical engagement of 2004, the last time Republicans won a majority of the popular vote. Because Christians opted out of voting, they became a key constituency that both sides knew they could get in play. And the Republicans were better at it than the Democrats because of what they offered. You want to meaningfully transform American politics. You're disgusted by both sides. If you want to meaningfully transform politics, don't vote. Both sides spend inordinate resources trying to persuade people to vote for them because the elections are so close. You want to become one of those groups they have to persuade to vote for them? Sit it out. Then you force both sides to realize, gosh, you know what? Had I not taken these wackadoo positions, I might have been able to win. When you decide preemptively, hey, you know what? I don't like this side. I don't like that guy. I don't like his supporters. I don't like his character. So I'm going to go vote for this person whose values I abhor, whose positions I despise because I got to stop them. You're no better than all the people you dislike. You have become exactly what you dislike. You have become the cheap date that gets taken advantage of by the side you choose to vote for, because all you're telling them is that you'll put out for them no matter what they do. You've hoarded your vote to them to stop the other side. You don't have to be the political whore. You can actually sit it out and say, you know what? I despise both sides for different reasons. I'm going to make my vote count by not casting it. And then you become deeply persuasive in the next election as a pool of voters both sides have to figure out how to get. They then have to change their views to get you in the game, because in close elections, every vote matters, including yours. Right now, you're telling them your vote doesn't matter. You're willing to throw it to them just because you don't like the other side. Even if you don't like their policies, those policies aren't going to change because you've made it possible for them to acquire power without having to do anything to get your vote other than not being the other side. You've embraced your own Flight 93, and you'll crash the plane too.
When the world seems crazy, he'll keep you sane. It's the Erick Erickson Show.
120 in the Coolray Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. You are still running into delays over in Dunwoody because of construction. 285 westbound the outer loop at Ashford Dunwoody Road. Exit 29, it knocks out a right lane. This report brought to you by Dinovite. Your dog's health begins in the gut. Dinovite is a nutritional supplement created to boost your dog's immune system. You can now try Dinovite for free. Just pay shipping and handling. Visit dinovite.com/radio. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
It pays to have the WSB radio app. Download it today and get ready for the Blitz.
The WSB 5K a day bonus blitz. 5 chances every weekday to win $1,000.
Your next chance to win is coming up at 2. It's a Blitz.
The WSB 5K a day bonus blitz.
From 95.5 WSB.
Download the WSB radio app now.
Hello, this is Brant Frost, founder and president of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on the station. For over 30 years, First Liberty has helped hundreds of small businesses grow by saying yes when the big banks say no. On Wall Street, opportunities to earn big returns are everywhere, but for Main Street investors, those opportunities are often hard to find. Until now. Our First Liberty notes are now open to qualified Main Street investors paying interest rates of 8 to 13% while helping to fuel the growth of small businesses right here in Georgia. With a few basic qualifications and with as little as $25,000, qualified Main Street investors just like you can earn an 8 to 13% interest rate. If this is you, we'd love to hear from you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com and consider joining our First Liberty family today. That's FirstLibertyGA.com, FirstLibertyGA.com.
First Liberty notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. Purchasers must verify their SEC accredited investor status. Securities are not being offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
You guys, it's Eric, and I bet like me, you researched the snot out of stuff. Did you know that a lot of the ads, you go online, find the best computer, and it's paid placements. So these website reviews, they're actually like websites where businesses pay them. It's a scam. That's why I trust Vision Computers, because there's no scam in their 5,000 glowing reviews. I'm a customer of theirs. I can tell you how good they are. You should call them at 404-COMPUTE or go to visioncomputers.com. And if you use them for your tech support, 15 seconds or less, you're going to get the answer to what you need. 5-star service guaranteed. They've been around for 32 years. 32 years. Standalone, standing there, helping your business since 1992. And for $179 a year, they can be your tech support solution. They can make your employees even more productive. During this economic time, you want the most productivity you can get. Let Vision Computers help you. 404-COMPUTE. 404-COMPUTE. Or visioncomputers.com. Tell them Eric sent you.
Men, if you're suffering from ED or PE, Priority Men's Medical Center will get your sex life back in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough medical treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Priority Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Priority Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments will restore your sex life regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. Plus, you'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients will have their testosterone checked free. Call 404-885-8885. 404-885-8885. To regain your sex life in just one visit, call now. 404-885-8885.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that is Medi-Share. Maybe you've heard switching to Medi-Share to pay for healthcare can save many families up to $500 a month, and that is huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The member satisfaction rate for Medi-Share is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. Medi-Share works, too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now. You'll get a price within 2 minutes. So see what you can save. This is a very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. Call 877-26-BIBLE. That's 877-26-BIBLE. 877-26-BIBLE.
All the news, weather, and traffic you need. 95.5 WSB.
Want to be on the show? Come on, be on the show. Call Eric now at 877-973-7425.
Welcome back. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number 877-973-7425. I want to go to Luke, who's been sitting patiently by the phone. Luke, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, my friend. How are you?
I'm good. What's going on?
Good. So just a question. I'm a little bit perplexed by this. So I went to Trump's website last week, and I pulled up events, and I saw like one rally scheduled. And like I remember back in 2016 when I would go to his webpage and go under events, you would see like a list of like 50, and there would be some with him and some with just Mike Pence, and then you would have these other like ground game initiatives in these different states to get people involved, like that weren't even really rallies, just like I guess related to ground game. You saw all this extensive schedule, and I go on there now, I see like one event planned. So like I'm just a little bit
I hear your
perplexed.
frustration.
Yeah.
Yeah, look.
So
I honestly, I think that I'm a little bit concerned the campaign is completely thrown off its game since Harris got in, and they need more grassroots ground game efforts around the nation. That I mean, you're right, they don't have them. Trump's done one rally in Montana. He's doing the Elon Musk interview on social media on Twitter tonight. Remember, Ron DeSantis kicked off his campaign on Twitter. The whole platform collapsed. We'll see if that happens tonight. I'm honestly, I'm disturbed by the campaign right now. And there are a number of reports out about the campaign and how things are flailing about in the campaign, and that the campaign itself thinks that Donald Trump lacks focus. There are a number of stories from Axios that are well sourced, the New York Times that are very well sourced, about the ongoing behind-the-scenes antics within Trump world right now. And I can tell you that it's reflected in even, like, the people who listen to this program. The number of people who are sending me angry emails for the stuff I'm saying. Like, I literally said he deserves a chance to relaunch and reset his campaign, and people are furious with me for not towing a party line. That always suggests people are worried about losing when that sort of stuff happens. Now, look, I don't want you to lose your money right now, and Lord knows, look at the economy right now. Bank collapses and interest rates and everything else. Swiss America has been the trustless leader in precious metals for 40 years. They've been warning people about a secret war on cash for some time. If you're interested in safeguarding your hard-earned cash from the war on cash, you need their free report. They're rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. Swiss America can educate you in protecting your assets in their free report. The Secret War on Cash. It takes less than 15 minutes to read. It can save you your retirement and finances. You get a free copy, completely free, by calling or texting my name, Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 800-289-2646. The All-Out War on Cash includes digital forms of currency as well. It's spreading. Read the Secret War on Cash report completely free. Just mention Eric when you call or text 800-289-2646. That's 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com/ERICK. SwissAmerica.com/Eric or 800-289-2646. Message and data rates may apply.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 1:30. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. A person trespassing on train tracks has been hit and killed today. This happened just after lunchtime on the tracks off Howard Street and Blayton Circle in northwest Atlanta. The person has not yet been identified. This is the second crash involving a CSX train today. Earlier today, 2 men were hit in Cobb County around 3 a.m. They are both in the hospital this afternoon. It's going to be mostly sunny and 91 today, says WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. She'll have Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast coming up. In DeKalb County, a mother and her 11-year-old daughter dead in what police say appears to be a murder-suicide. Officers got a call about shots being fired last night just before 8. When they arrived at the Polo Club Apartments in the 1200 block of Ashley Creek Circle, they found the mother and the daughter dead. Both had been shot. No names have been released. The investigation is ongoing. Donald Trump's campaign said that it was hacked, the revelation coming after Microsoft repeatedly detailed foreign agents' attempts to interfere in this year's elections. Reporter Olivia Rinaldi has more.
In the report, it says in June 2024, Iran's intelligence unit sent a spear phishing email to a high-ranking official of a presidential campaign, and they were posing as the compromised email account of a former senior advisor.
And the intelligence community is not commenting on this matter at this moment. And this just in, earlier this afternoon, Georgia was ranked number 1 in the Associated Press preseason college football poll. It's the second year in a row that Georgia's been named number 1. The Bulldogs received 46 first-place votes to finish comfortably ahead of number 2 Ohio State, which got 15 top votes. Oregon rounding out the top 3. It's 1:32.
Eric Erickson for Hip Nation with a question for small business owners. What would you do if, no strings attached, I handed you $50 or $80 or $100,000 in extra cash flow each year? Give your employees a raise? Pay off debt? Put it in your own pocket? If you're attracted to the idea of an infusion of newfound cash, drop your expensive health insurance and give Hip Nation a call. Hip Nation can save you an impactful amount of money and improve the quality of healthcare for your employees. A 13-person company switched to Hip Nation and saved $80,000 and then used the windfall to buy a new air conditioning system for their warehouse. So I'm going to ask you again, what would you do if I gave you $50,000, $80,000, or even $100,000? Go to HipNation.com. You'll find out the savings are real. Then start putting money you save on health insurance back into your business or even into your pocket. HipNation.com. That's HipNation.com. The call's free. Your savings are life-changing.
You need new air conditioning, but options and pricing can be confusing, so you keep throwing money into your old system. Well, now you can finally stop repairing and start replacing. Doug Turnbull here at Guardian Home Experts, the company my family and I trust, have figured it out by offering you the most affordable options, the highest quality work, and impeccable customer service from a local family-owned company. Right now, with Guardian and Daikin, you'll receive a $1,450 instant rebate and 0% interest for up to 60 months. That's as low as $99 a month to own a qualifying system, not a lease. When I say the most affordable options, that means Guardian offers a meter beat price match guarantee up to $500. Details are online. I know you'll become a Guardian customer for life just like me, so get your free estimate today and they'll install tomorrow.
Call 470-EXPERTS, Guardian Home Experts.
Switch your termite protection to Breda and your rate is locked in for 10 years. Meteorologist Christina Edwards here. When was the last time you actually saw your termite company inspect your home? Well, if the answer is never and they raise your rate again, you better call Breda. Breda Pest Management is better at keeping your termites out, and they'll lock in your termite rate for 10 years. BREDA Pest.com.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
Live team coverage of traffic and weather. Here's Veronica Harrell.
And talking about delays trying to get over into Midtown. A crash knocks out the HOV lane, 75 southbound right at I-85 north. And then police are looking for some new trouble on the connector, 75-85 southbound right around 10th Street, exit 250. And also maybe something new going on, I-20 eastbound right around MLK Jr. Drive, causing delays. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
This is WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Mostly sunny today with low humidity, daytime high 91, cooling down to the mid to upper 60s for tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon, mostly sunny, high 92. Wednesday, partly cloudy, high 91.
It is 88 degrees in Canton, 87 in Sandy Springs, and 87 in Monroe. We'll have more news at 2 o'clock, breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
He's got the courage to tell you the truth, even when it isn't popular. You're listening to The Eric Erickson Show.
Hello there, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States of America, and I am delighted to have you with me. The phone number, if you want to be on the program, 877-973-7425. So, we had a little event. It was called The Gathering, and we did it in Atlanta, Georgia. Want to play you some of the audio. We interviewed some great folks, Brian Kemp, Ron DeSantis, Doug Ducey, the former governor of Arizona, Kevin Stitt, the governor of Oklahoma, my buddy Chip Roy. We interviewed Mitch McConnell. It was a great time. Ron DeSantis on stage with me talking about the media and the Harris Walz campaign.
Now, for the balance of this national campaign, they are going to act as an arm of the Harris Walz campaign. That's what's going to happen. Look, the corporate media, it's a huge part of the Democratic Party. That's just what it is. And it's interesting because I think about how do you combat it. You know, as a governor was a little easier because I can just go out and do things. And so people would see with their own eyes, well, hey, wait a minute, this guy saved my job. He did that. It's harder just as being a candidate. But I think to myself, the corporate press in this country has never had a lower approval rating amongst Americans than they do now. We have a fragmented media environment where a lot of you don't even need to deal with these people. You can get your news other places. And yet, even though the estimation of them is at rock bottom, even though there's so many other outlets, in some respects, these narratives are more powerful today than there ever have been. I think part of it is it's a little bit harder to counter. If they were doing narratives against Reagan in '84, there were like 5 television stations he could put ads, Morning in America, and just fight back. Well, now it's harder to reach people. And so the stuff that gets into the zeitgeist gets there. So it's not easy to do, but ultimately I think if you're standing for what's right, if you're standing for what's true, if you're making the case, there is a desire for truth out there. And this is a great test because they are taking somebody who nobody thought could do the job of president, and they're trying to create a cultural phenomenon around this candidate and around her running mate. And I think the American people are ultimately going to see through that. But make no mistake, I hear some of the Republicans whining about, oh, they don't go after her. Oh, they're not going to do that. Like, just understand, they are not going to do that. They wanted Biden out, not because they didn't like Democrats, it's because they didn't think he could win. So they're now trying to engineer a victory. That's what they want to do. So just be prepared about doing that and go out and fight the good fight.
He's absolutely right on that. And that's part of the issue with Donald Trump this weekend going to Montana for Tim Shea, who is running up there and essentially spending his time talking about Jon Tester being fat. The clock is ticking. We have less than 90 days. Did you know that early voting begins in a month and like 5 days? Early voting begins in the middle of September in Pennsylvania, a must-win swing state. So every minute of every day that Donald Trump is not talking about Kamala Harris's record is a minute that voters are reminded they don't like him. The fact of the matter is, the truth of the matter is, Donald Trump hasn't gained ground. What's happened is his voting share, his percentage is largely stable. It's the Democrats who've come home to Kamala Harris, and the independents are headed in her direction because they don't like Donald Trump. And again, this is so important that everyone understands this. You may like Donald Trump. Pretty consistently, most Americans never have. In 2016, they just hated Hillary Clinton more. So they went with the guy they didn't like, but he was better than Hillary Clinton. Now they know him and they don't like him. They don't know Kamala Harris. And given the choice between someone you really don't like and someone you don't know, you're going to take a chance on someone you don't know. So what the Trump campaign has to do is make Kamala Harris known in a way that benefits them so that she's liked less than Trump. And the way to do that, pretty obviously, is to go after her flip-flops and record, her positions, her radicalism. They haven't been very aggressive on that point. You can't spend your time calling Jon Tester fat on stage because you know that's going to get all the attention. To Ron DeSantis' point, people could go to a variety of places for their attention, but by and large, most people go to ABC, CBS, and NBC and the local news. If you're not on the local news, these voters aren't going to pay attention to you. It's why I still believe he needs to barnstorm the country, say screw the national media, they're the enemy, and focus on local reporters and give interviews to local reporters who are overwhelmingly so much fairer than the national press because they are trusted by their local community. And in a day and age where it's very easy for someone in the local press to lose their job, they want to be as loyal to their viewers as possible, and they maintain the trust and the integrity to keep trust with their viewers, and so they're fair. They may be closet libs. I don't know that most people realize that, in my experience, local reporters tend to be vastly more conservative than national reporters. And that doesn't matter whether you're in Montana or whether you're in Georgia. The local reporters tend to be center-right, where the national reporters tend to be center-left. A national reporter one time explained it to me that the local reporters who are big libs are just auditioning for the national press. The guys who play it straight, they tend to be happy where they are. There's no ambition there. So that's why Trump should do it. Ron DeSantis is right. The national press is out to get him, but that's not the local press. One more from DeSantis on Walls.
He will give this stump speech, and he says, our neighbors can do what they want. It's none of your damn business what your neighbor's doing. This from the guy that set up a COVID snitch line imploring Minnesotans to tattletale on their neighbors for leaving their house. What, to take the dog, to relieve the dog, walk the dog, or go out and shoot hoops or something? He wanted you reported to the authorities. That is not minding your own damn business. That is a total abuse of government power. And then he'll say things like, well, these Republicans are weird. This is a guy that used Minnesota tax dollars to put tampons in the boys' bathrooms throughout the schools in Minnesota.
Yes. On point. You know who else was on point, on message, focused on the policies and the positions of the candidates? Governor Brian Kemp.
The Harris campaign has a new ad about how tough on the border she is.
Yeah.
I mean, and how she's going to, hire more border patrol agents, and how, she's going to support this tough border bill. And my thing is like, hey, just remember, you're in office right now. You could do that right now without being elected president if you could talk Biden into doing it. And I remind people, Republican governors have been complaining about the problem at the border for years. We have done press conferences. We've asked for meetings. We've put out policy agendas of 10 or 12 things that we could do to secure the border. And we know they will work because they were done, by the previous administration. And you had the governors supporting the Trump administration by sending National Guard troops. And you didn't have the chaos that you saw early in the Biden administration. It finally got so bad they had to do something about it because they were getting killed politically on that issue. And, I remind people, the Democrats had complete control of all three branches in the legislative process, the House, the Senate, and the White House from 2020 to 2022, when we were all complaining about the border. The Republican governors were, and they did nothing. And that's what people need to remember when they go to the ballot box in November.
Yes. That's the sort of stuff people need to remember when they go to the ballot box. That's the sort of stuff they got to focus on. Now, my buddy Chip Roy, longtime friend of mine, great congressman, one of the most popular, because, as an aside, let me tell you this about Chip Roy. So Chip is a true believer. When he says it, he believes it. And he is very, very much of the right. He's willing to fight Republicans and Democrats to do what's right to rein in the scope of government. And what's remarkable is how the Democrats and Republicans like him. Like, he's a firebrand on TV and on the floor of the Congress, but they like him. And you know why they like him? Because they know he speaks the truth to them. He doesn't lie to them. He treats them kindly behind the scenes, regardless of their views and disagreements. He treats them as a friend, even if he disagrees with them. And they know he's a straight shooter. When Chip says he's going to do something, he does it. When he says he's not going to do something, he doesn't do it. And so he's got the respect. Even as they fight him, they don't like his politics. They treat him as a guy you can trust. He's an honest broker. And I appreciate that about him. He's a good friend of mine. He's willing to fire off an angry text to me and say, hey, you screwed up. I'm willing to do the same to him. We're willing to argue about it. He's just a good guy. And he put the election in defining focus, and it's a way, I think if the Trump campaign can listen to this, he put the defining focus on this campaign from the gathering.
Guys, it is about control. It is about tyranny. It is about telling you what to do in some utopian, radical, progressive Democrat dream that is fiction, that is unicorn energy, but it's all about them being able to tell you how to live. And if Republicans don't wake up and fight that, you're not going to have a country, and your kids and grandkids aren't going to have a country. That's what this election is about. It's not about all the noise. It's not about all the stuff you're seeing in the ads. It's about whether or not you believe in Western civilization and whether or not we're going to save it. That's what's on the ballot this fall.
That's Chip Roy, defining moment there on stage, making the case about this election in ways that people can understand. It's also why there's so much frustration from people on the right about Donald Trump. The number of people who are emailing me who say, is he just trying to lose? Did something happen on stage when he got shot and he's trying to throw the election? I don't think that's it at all. I don't think Donald Trump wants to lose. I think he wants to win. I just think he's been thrown off his game. Listen, if you were shot, if you had a bullet come within half an inch of blowing your brains out, you would be unnerved as well when it processed. Your first reaction would be to raise your fist in the air and say, fight, fight, fight. And in the quiet of the night, when no one's around, your mortality would set in on you. I don't know if he needs a sports psychologist to talk to him or somebody to talk to him, but I just think his head is not in the game right now. It's a traumatic event. You can understand it. It's a traumatic event. I don't think he's trying to lose. I just think if he doesn't change things, he very well could lose, and he doesn't want to, but he's got to get his head back in the game. One more from Chip Roy on stage at the gathering, talking about his frustrations with his fellow Republicans.
Thank you all for being here and supporting Eric. And Eric, as he said, we've been good friends now for 2 decades. This is an important gathering. And that's, to me, that this is, one of, there are a number of really important questions right now that we face, but this is one of the most important. And Republicans have for too long been a part of the problem and driving the very things that they criticize and campaign against. And I saw that when I was a lawyer on the Judiciary Committee, when I was Ted Cruz's chief of staff. I saw that now in my 5 years in Congress. And with all due respect to our Republican colleagues, people get mad at me when I say this 2 months out from an election. Like, let's be clear. Everybody go vote Republican. Let's get the most conservative candidate you can get elected. But I'm concerned about January 3rd when we get sworn in. I'm concerned about January 20th, 21st when we get down to doing business. And the fact of the matter is, too many Republicans give lip service to wanting to do what Jeb was just talking about, shrinking the size of government, and they won't do it.
Yes, they won't. It's one of the frustrations so many Republicans have. It's one of the frustrations that have caused so many Republicans to gravitate towards Donald Trump as just kind of a bull in the china shop. And I totally understand that. I do. But the problem is, he's got to, in some way, focus so that he can find a message that works. If he doesn't, we're going to have a really hard time beating Harrison Walz in the final 85 days of this campaign. And remember, they get a freebie week next week to brand themselves with the DNC and the love fest the media is going to give them. And I kind of agree with what my caller from Montgomery, Alabama, that maybe he needs to just take the week off, rest, and focus on message discipline with his team and get his head back in the game. Now, I got to tell you about the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. Right now, the BOGO's going on. You buy one, you get one free. You buy 3, you get 3 free. The Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier. It traps the dust, it traps the pollen that's floating in the air, and it wipes out odors. It uses O3 that goes into all the nooks and crannies, all the crevices, grabs hold of the ions so odors are ions, and they float in the air, they go into your nasal passageway, and they have the scent. They trigger a neurological response that is a smell. And what O3 does, ozone, is it locks onto those ions, weighs them down, and they can't float in the air, and it eliminates them. And that's what the Eden Pure Thunderstorm does. So there's no odor, it can't stop. Dirty diaper odors, pet odors, litter box odors, you name it. Right now, you can buy one, you'll get one free. You buy 10, you get 10 free. You go to EdenPureDeals.com. That's the website, EdenPureDeals.com, and you'll see a discount code box right on the front page. You put in Eric Bogo, ERICKBOGO, Eric Bogo, ERICKBOGO at EdenPureDeals.com. You'll buy one, get one free. Buy 2, get 2 free. Buy 3, get 3 free. You know how it goes. EdenPureDeals.com, the discount code, Eric Bogo.
He'll do the research and give it to you straight. Eric Erickson is live every weekday.
150 in the Coolray Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. Crash has moved off to the right, 75 southbound just before I-85. 85 northbound, still you're dealing with delays over into Midtown. And crash also off to the right, I-20 eastbound at MLK Junior Drive, exit 53. This report brought to you by Whole Foods Market. Save at Whole Foods Market. Get 30% off select Stonyfield organic items with Prime through August 13th while supplies last. Shop in store or online. Terms apply. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
Stay connected to Atlanta's news, weather, and traffic with the 95.5 WSB app. Listen to Atlanta's morning news. EVH, Eric Erickson, Mark Aram, and Shelley Winter. No matter where you go, 95.5 WSB and the WSB app. Download it today or find us in the iHeart and Odyssey apps.
Hey, this is Shelley Winter for First National Roofing. Insurance companies are now using drones to spy on homes and deny coverage based on the aerial image of your roof. If you want peace of mind before your insurance policy is canceled, call First National Roofing for a free, no-obligation video inspection. Call 404-500-ROOF or firstnationalroofing.net.
First National Roofing. First in quality, first in honesty, first in warranty.
Get pre-approved on your next auto loan or refinance your current auto loan at Coosa Valley Credit Union today. You'll get one of the lowest rates in the market, as low as 5.24%. Visit a Coosa Valley Credit Union branch near you.
Equal opportunity lender.
It's Eric. I don't know about y'all, but life happens in our kitchen. It's where we have our memories, our family time, our laughs. Well, you don't want a lot of downtime, but you may want to renovate your kitchen. You want one of those $1 million kitchen looks and get it at the fraction of the cost with Frugal Kitchens. They know that you've got plans for your kitchen, and they want to help you. And here's why I love them. They can have you cooking in 5 days from the start of construction and get you 18 months no-interest financing. FrugalKitchens.com. That's where you want to check them out. FrugalKitchens.com.
Hey Atlanta, it's Patrick, owner of Zero Res, reminding you to take advantage of our back-to-school BOGO sale. For a limited time, when you get 2 rooms of carpet cleaned, you'll get 2 rooms cleaned for free. Just mention WSB Radio. You heard that right. When you mention WSB Radio and book 2 rooms of carpet cleaning, you will get 2 rooms cleaned for free. Use promo code BOGO when scheduling online at ZeroResAtlanta.com or call 770-242-1313. Zero Res. Experience clean today.
What's the deal with your floors? They feel uneven and bouncy when you walk on them. Dave Baker here for AquaGuard Foundation Solutions. Sound familiar? You need to check out AquaGuard. See, AquaGuard knows these signs could point to major damage building up in your crawl space, which will only get worse over time. But don't worry, AquaGuard knows crawl spaces. They can identify your issues and repair them while staying within your budget. Simply go to aquaguard.net now and set up for a free inspection. Remember, AquaGuard.
WSB Atlanta, WSB BFM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's news and talk.
New South windows and doors are made to take on the most intense weather and temperature changes. Give your family security that lasts a lifetime and get New South proud.
Buy more and save more. Volume discounts up to 30% off.
New South proud.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's news and talk.
Get the podcast, live stream, email, and social media links by texting Eric to 33777 now.
Hello there, it is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, I, of course, would be delighted to have you. Wikipedia is, it's user driven, so any user can hop in and make changes. What I find very notable is that with all the issues about Tim Walz out there and his military record, someone edited J.D. Vance's record and got rid of his awards in the military. He was awarded the Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal, the Marine Corps Good Conduct Medal, the Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, the Iraq Campaign Medal, the Navy and Marine Corps Sea Service Deployment Ribbon, and now if you go on his site, on Wikipedia, it says Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal. That's it. Intriguing how they scrubbed his awards. But that's the sort of thing that the progressive left tends to do, rewriting the records of people they don't like while ignoring the actual records of people they do like Tim Walz, who had 24 years of service. God bless him for his service. But he lied on his way out the door and decided he wanted to run for political office and bailed on his troops, who he assured them he would be going to Iraq with them, and then decided, nope, not going to going to run for office. That story matters. I do, however, wonder if that story is piercing the conscience of conservatives on social media, but not actually making it out into the real world. Conservatives, I'm deeply worried, and maybe myself included, I'm deeply worried we may be so intrigued by what's happening on Twitter we forget the real world. And Twitter is not the real world, never has been the real world. And one of the last people to find that out very famously was Kamala Harris when her political campaign crashed and burned because she convinced herself Twitter was the real world. We can't make that mistake. We've got to penetrate the zeitgeist, so to speak, with our messaging. Now, I want you to go to omahasteaks.com today. Their 50% off sale is happening right now for their anniversary, 107 years old. omahasteaks.com. At checkout, if you use ERIC as your promo code, E-R-I-C-K, you can get an extra $30 off your order, minimum order required at omahasteaks.com. Got incredible steaks, New York strips. They've got bacon wrapped fillets, their chicken, their pork. Everything is fantastic. Don't forget the caramel apple tartlets that my wife, 50% off, in some cases even more. omahasteaks.com, promo code ERIC, E-R-I-C-K, at checkout. Get yourself some delicious steaks at omahasteaks.com.
I can't think of a better place to have a lifetime warranty than on the roof of your home. Dave Baker here. Only Findlay Roofing, the roof guys, provide a lifetime labor and materials warranty at no additional cost with every roof replacement. You'll never have to worry about your roof again, ever. Time to replace your roof? Think of all the elements it'll have to endure in a lifetime, then think of Findlay first. FindlayRoofing.com. Roof.
Selling your home can be challenging with showings, costly home repairs. With a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate, it doesn't have to be. It's Eric. The guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate is the easiest way to sell your home. There are no showings, no open houses, no stress. With over 58,000 satisfied clients, you can trust the top real estate team in the whole country to sell your home quickly and for the most money. Go to markspain.com. Get a guaranteed offer on your home today. That's markspain.com and get packing.
News, weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2 o'clock, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top local story. One person is dead and two are injured in two separate pedestrian accidents involving CSX trains in Metro Atlanta today. CSX says a person trespassing on the tracks was struck and killed this afternoon off Howard Street and Blayton Circle in northwest Atlanta. Also, two are hospitalized in Cobb County.
Just before 3 this morning, a CSX train traveling adjacent to Atlanta Road near the Austell intersection ends up hitting two people. Officer Aaron Wilson with the Cobb County Police Department says the first victim has several injuries.
One victim did sustain serious injuries to their leg and had a head injury as well.
And the other victim, he tells me?
Second victim suffered a possible hip injury, but was stable and talking to first responders on scene.
They're both being treated at Wellstar Kennestone. No CSX employees were injured. The company is investigating. Michelle Wright, 95.5 WSB.
90 degrees in Atlanta. No rain in our forecast to start the week. Just warm and dry. Meteorologist Christina Edwards has Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast coming up. An 11-year-old girl and her mother are dead in what appears to be a murder-suicide in DeKalb County. Police get a call of shots fired at the Polo Club Apartments on Ashley Creek Circle around 8 last night. When they arrive on scene, officers discover the 11-year-old and her mother dead from gunshot wounds. There are concerns tensions in the Middle East could escalate even as there are hopes for a ceasefire deal in Gaza.
CBS News has learned President Biden's top advisor for Mideast affairs, Brett McGurk, has tentative plans to fly to Egypt this week for a new round of ceasefire and hostage release negotiations.
CBS's Nicole Skanga reports Iran is expected to retaliate against Israel for the killing of a Hamas leader in Tehran. The Rome High School football team is pulling out of this Friday's game after a bus accident last week injured several players. Coach John Reed says the decision was made as a precaution after doctors evaluated the injured players. He says the safety of the student athletes comes first. Rome was scheduled to play Creekside as part of the Corky Kell and Dave Hunter Classic. Their next scheduled game is Friday, August 30th against Carrollton. A new preseason ranking has the Georgia Bulldogs on top. The Dogs #1 in the first Associated Press poll of this season. The Dogs get 46 first-place votes to come in ahead of Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, Alabama rounding out the top 5. It is now 2:02 and up next live team coverage of traffic and weather.
Hi, it's Sue from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minute. Over the past 30 years, we've seen countless lives change for the better and health issues greatly improved, if not completely resolved, by customers changing their diets, starting with real bread. At the Bread Becker store in Woodstock, we can teach you how to make real, delicious bread loaded with fiber and nutrients from real whole grains. A healthy, affordable solution for your family that can change your lives. For various customers, we've seen cholesterol levels drop 85 to 100 points in just 1 month, blood sugar stabilized, anemia corrected, and hundreds of stories of warts going away. In one case, as many as 500 warts gone in just 2.5 weeks. I have a degree in food science, and for more than 30 years, I've studied the incredible health benefits of whole grains and real bread. Let us help you take the first steps to better health. Visit onlyrealbread.com. The Bread Beckers, onlyrealbread.com.
Let me run down some of the signs that you may have a foundation problem in your home. Doug Turnbull here. You can have cracks in your bricks, siding, the floors, sheetrock or drywall inside, even your stucco. You can have gaps in door frames and windows or even in your garage door. Maybe you have misaligned doors and windows or a leaning chimney. You won't know these things unless you get close and intimate with your house. It's summer. Get outdoors. And if you see these problems, call the Foundation Repair Experts. It's all they do. Atlanta Ramjack. Get your free estimate and assessment from AtlantaRamjack.com.
Motorcycle riders like you are a different breed. You don't just ride your bike, you're obsessed. So if someone causes you to lay your bike down, you need a different kind of attorney, one that understands bikers and their rights. Eric Von Hessler here for my friends at Steel Horse Law, the Stein and Karen Law Group, motorcycle injury lawyers who ride. You can trust them on the road and in the courtroom. Steel Horse Law can help you get back on your feet, medical bills paid, and your case resolved. Trust is everything, and results matter. Free case evaluation at steelhorselaw.com.
Dave Baker here for Air Quality Systems. Having your air ducts cleaned is great. It helps keep your home cleaner and has health benefits. But you need to be careful who you choose to clean your ducts. I received an email from a listener who told me she was quoted $499 for a duct cleaning, but she was charged over $1,400 with add-ons. That's just wrong. At Air Quality Systems, you get upfront pricing. The price you're quoted over the phone is the price you pay. Simply go to airqualitysystems.com and set your appointment today.
It is 2:05 and time now for live team coverage of traffic and weather, and Veronica Harrell is in the WSB 24-hour traffic center.
And saying good afternoon to you, Bill. Better news for folks trying to get into Midtown. Crash 75 southbound right at I-85. Now off to the right. Still a few brake lights there. Elsewhere, checking on a new slow zone over on the East Freeway. I-20 westbound trying to ramp onto 285, causing brake lights through Decatur. And speaking of 20, that crash I-20 eastbound at MLK Junior Drive, exit 53, all off to the right. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Mostly sunny today, high 91. Low humidity for this evening, so temperatures dropping into the mid to upper 60s for tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon, mostly sunny, high 92. Wednesday, a mix of sun and clouds, high 91.
The humidity does return later on this week, and the rain chances remain low until Saturday. Right now, no rain, just sunny around the metro area. 86 Marietta, 90 Conyers, and 89 in Fayetteville. More news at 2:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
It's the WSB 5K a day bonus blitz. This hour's keyword is heat. Go to the WSB Radio app or WSBRadio.com/cash for your chance to win. Again, that keyword is heat. Join me live at 3 for the Von Hessler Doctrine, and I'll have your next keyword and chance to win at 5.
Hello and welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States of America. The phone number is 877-973-7425 should you wish to be on the program. If you text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777, you can get the show notes, live stream, the podcast, whatever you need. Glad to have you with me. Y'all, We need to talk about a conversation I had on stage at the gathering this weekend. It was the one that pretty much everyone in the room was most bothered by. No, they weren't like mad. It was deeply troubling. I want to introduce you to a group. Wound up sponsoring part of the gathering. Michael Lucci. So, okay, side note. So I'm on an email list with some really smart people. I'm the dumb guy on the list. And one of the guys on the list is named Michael Lucci. And so I'm at the gathering this weekend. There's a guy on stage named Michael Lucci. Well, don't even put two and two together that this is the same Michael that I'm on this email list, which assume it's a different guy. Only after we're over, it's like, hey, we're on the email list together. We've exchanged emails. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm a complete idiot. Michael Lucci runs a group called State Armor, statearmor.org. And essentially what State Armor is doing is they've realized this: the federal government is slow to move on the substantive threats about China, but states can move quickly. So they've been going into states around the country and explaining the national security threat from China to the states. I want to give you an example of one way China is making incursions into the United States already. Some of you I know are recipients of organs, or someone who has received a new kidney or a new lung or a new liver. I know people on that list. One of the things that China does, I did not realize China did. I mean, I've heard that China did this, but we now have an interview cropped up last week before the gathering with a Falun Gong dissident. China carved out a piece of this guy's liver and one of his lungs and put it on the market for donation, for organ transplant. That's what they do. They harvest the organs of dissidents. You can survive without one of your two kidneys. And so China will take one of your kidneys. You can survive without one of your two lungs. And so China will take one of your lungs. Your liver grows back. So China will slice out a portion of liver for transplant. For the people who get the death penalty in China, they'll take your heart for transplant. I had no idea that really did happen. People are coming forward who've escaped China who actually are missing organs because they were dissidents and China was taking portions of their organs for transplant. So one of the pieces of legislation State Armor is advocating for is to ban medical services from reimbursement for organs from China. Interestingly enough, Katie Hobbs, the governor of Arizona, vetoed that legislation. Most states are passing that legislation. And what it does is it discourages China from organ harvesting. But one of the big focuses for State Armor right now is stress testing. So right now, as you and I are talking here, China's at war with us, and we're not at war with them. What the Chinese are currently doing, from my conversation with Michael Lucci and also Brian Cavanaugh. Brian Cavanaugh works for another group. He works with Robert O'Brien. Brian Cavanaugh, who was on stage, was the highest-ranking career national security person within the National Security Council for the president. So when Robert O'Brien, for example, the president's national security director, didn't want to travel with the president, Brian Cavanaugh had to travel with the president. And he was talking to me before we got on stage that the political appointees were deeply suspicious of him to begin with because he was a appointee. And he's like, yeah, I mean, he gets the whole deep state suspicions, but he actually was very much a conservative and wound up earning their trust. So Brian Cavanaugh, he and Michael Lucci talking about these threats to China on stage. One of the things they were talking about is right now the Chinese are putting malware into water treatment facilities, pipeline transmission computer programs, and the power grid, so that they can, at the flip of a switch, begin to shut down our power grid, our water supply, our water treatment facilities, and our oil and natural gas pipelines. Remember the Colonial Pipeline hack? It turned out to be a hack for money. those hacks could actually be malicious for state sponsors. So, for example, when China decides to invade Taiwan and we begin to mount a response, China pushes the button on the computer and our lights go out, our water stops running, and our natural gas stops flowing as a way to discombobulate this country to make it harder for us to mount a response. It's happening right now. It is happening right now that China is doing this. So one of the things that State Armor is proposing by way of executive order or stress test, or by way of executive order or legislation, is a stress test that your state has to do a complete diagnostic of its power grid, its pipeline grid, and its water grid to make sure that in the event of a Chinese national security disruption that the state will survive. And a number of states, including Georgia, have now begun doing these stress tests just to make sure. One way to fight back against China, because China, by the way, is fighting this war with us right now. One way to fight back is to respond in kind and show we're doing the steps that need to be taken to make sure we're secure. One of the most troubling things that came up on stage, though, they were talking about the Port of Savannah. So about 2.5, 3 hours from me is the Port of Savannah, Georgia. It is a port that is on the Savannah River. The river is dredged. They're actually trying to raise a bridge and expand the port down there and expand capacity. And they said it is the only port in the United States that does not have a particular type of crane. Every other port in the United States has this crane, and the Biden administration has become so concerned. The Biden administration has issued an executive order that all of these cranes have to be torn down. The Port of Savannah is the only one not affected in the United States. These cranes are built in China. And it turns out we've only just discovered, these cranes have been there for quite a while, by the way. They've been there for several years. And we've only just found out that these cranes have surveillance instruments in the cranes where they can scan the electronic signals from the ships coming into port and transmit back to mainland China the cargo that's on these ships from their manifests. As the signal are transmitted from the ship to port, these cranes intercept the signals, encrypted interception, and transmit back to China. So China is aware of every single thing coming in and out of our ports, the capacity of the ports, the capacity of the ships, where the ships have come from, where the ships are going to, all those sorts of things are being intercepted by China right now. The Biden administration has become so concerned they've issued an order that all these things have to go away immediately. The only port not affected, Savannah. These cranes have been there in some cases for years, if not a decade. Also, the Chinese continue to buy land. Down in South Texas, they told me about a Chinese general. There was land for sale. It was about 100,000 acres in South Texas, and somehow a general in the Chinese military found the money to buy the land. And you know what he said he wanted to do? He wanted to buy windmills. He wanted to put up wind turbines. This land was right on the Texas-Mexico border and 10 miles from a major military installation. Surprise, surprise, surprise. 10 miles from a major military installation. What this Chinese general decided he wanted to do is he wanted to put up massive wind turbines. There's no wind on the land. Texas is big on wind energy, and they've mapped the state on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being the most wind, 1 being the least amount of wind. This land rated a 2. But the land was flat, and the land was within 10 miles of a military installation. And if you put up the massive, massive windmills that the Chinese general wanted to put up, at the top of them you could put signal surveillance, and it would reach to and could interfere with the signals at the base 10 miles away. They had to inform the state of Texas, which shut down the project. In Indiana, there's a Chinese agriculture company. And the Chinese agriculture company attempted to buy land on both sides of a railroad that is used to transport military hardware and oil. Wanted to buy the land on both sides. They had to go to the Illinois legislature and advise them of what was happening to kill the deal. In another state, the Chamber of Commerce in that state began lobbying against legislation that would have shut down Chinese business investment in the state. The Chamber of Commerce in the state lobbied against a bill that would shut down Chinese commerce. Turns out one of the businesses in China happened to be the big donor to the local Chamber of Commerce, and that company is listed by the Biden administration and before that the Trump administration as one of the biggest enablers of Chinese national security in the United States. That company was giving money to a Chamber of Commerce to lobby against legislation that would shut down Chinese investment in the state. The Chamber of Commerce was saying, we're getting so much investment from Chinese businesses in the state, it's good for business. Turns out it was a national security scheme from China. The Chamber of Commerce couldn't be deterred, but the state legislature in the state, I think it was Ohio, shut it down. In fact, what Michael Lucci was telling me on stage is that there is bipartisan buy-in on this. This is not a partisan issue. The Democrats and Republicans around the country at the state level both concur China is engaging in acts of war in this country surreptitiously, and they got to be stopped. So I would call all of your attention to statearmor.org. They're only in 13 states right now, but they're expanding. This isn't an ad or anything with them. Look, I appreciate their sponsorship, but this was the most fascinating conversation we had. We're going to trot it out on the podcast as quickly as we can for y'all to be able to hear it. It was a spooky conversation. I could have talked to them for hours about it. The way Chinese military officials, public officials, and private citizens are buying land near American military bases and electing towers, whether in the form of windmills or communications arrays, to spy on what's happening in the military. And because the federal government is slow to respond, the state governments can move very quickly. State bureaucrats can move far quicker than federal bureaucrats in shutting this stuff down. Michael Lucci and Brad Kavanaugh were telling me one story about an interstate corridor in the country. I think it's I-25 is the corridor. And what was happening is the Chinese company Huawei agreed to put up cameras, weather cameras, so that media outlets and others could survey and figure out what the weather was going to be in remote parts of states. Maybe it was the I-15 corridor. Turns out that this corridor where Huawei was willing to put up their towers is also one of the most heavily trafficked military corridors in the country. And you know what Huawei was willing to do? Huawei was willing to put for free in its technology and its cameras detection devices so you could see what was on the roads. You could see what's traveling. You had facial recognition, all this stuff built in for free. And guess what? Everything got transmitted back to China. When Robert O'Brien was Trump's military national security advisor, he charged Brad Kavanaugh, said, you get out there and you go, if you got to take a chainsaw, if you got to take welding tools, you tear down every single one of those towers and you do it immediately. They were gone by the end of the week. That's what Huawei did, though. Said, here, news media, we'll give you these traffic cameras for free with all these extra tools. Just put us up along the highway. That's what China's doing. It's been happening for a while, and thank goodness there's a bipartisan response here. It was a deeply troubling conversation, deeply troubling, but very informative, and there is hope. States are actually responding very rapidly to these threats, and all you got to do is get people to go into the states and inform the state legislatures of what's happening. And the state legislatures, on a bipartisan basis, respond very, very quickly. We need more of this. We need more. Statearmor.org is the website. You can go check them out. They're growing in states, and man, was it an interesting conversation.
He's got the courage to tell you the actual truth, even when it isn't popular. It's the Erick Erickson Show.
221 in the Cool Ray Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. Some type of trouble tying you up over on the East Freeway. I-20 westbound right the ramp to 285. Causing brake lights for you trying to get into Decatur. You may want to avoid it and think about using Covington Highway. This report brought to you by Audible. Make traffic work for you with Audible. Explore new worlds or get inspired listening to audiobooks, podcasts, and originals. There's more to imagine when you listen. Sign up for a free email or free trial at audible.com. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
It's the WSB 5K a day bonus blitz. This hour's keyword is heat. Go to the WSB Radio app or WSBradio.com/cash for your chance to win. Again, that keyword is heat. Join me live at 3 for the Von Hessler Doctrine, and I'll have your next keyword and chance to win at 5.
At City of Hope, we are driven to stop lung cancer, to respond to its every change, its every mutation with a new treatment approach, to meet the most complex cases with the latest innovations, to analyze cancer down to its DNA, then fight it with the newest surgical, radiation, and immunotherapies, to never give up, so you can be driven by hope. Learn more at cityofhope.org.
Hey, y'all, it's Eric. And yeah, I got to admit, I'm worried about the November election for a lot of reasons. I mean, you really can't make most of the stuff up, but here we are. The only thing I do feel great about is my investment strategy. And even with all the uncertainty ahead, thanks to David Nicholas and the team at Nicholas Wealth Management, Christy and I have a rock-solid plan for whoever wins the election. It doesn't matter for our finances, thanks to David. Look, I really urge you to do what we did. Get a complimentary Morningstar analysis from David and his team. It's a $1,000 value, but right now my listeners can get this complimentary. So you've saved $250,000 or more for retirement. Call Nicholas Wealth Management and get this unbelievably valuable analysis for free. David and his team will do for y'all what they did for Christy and me. They'll review it with you. They'll give you some total clarity on how ready your nest egg is for the uncertainty ahead. So if you've saved $250,000 or more for retirement, go to nicholaswealth.com. That's NICHOLASWEALTH.com, nicholaswealth.com, or call 678-990-8500. That's 678-990-8500 or nicholaswealth.com.
Nicholas Wealth is an independent financial services firm that uses a variety of different investment strategies. This is prepared for information purposes only. It does not address specific investment objectives with a financial situation and the needs of any person. This is a paid advertisement.
Even when it's not raining, if you see streaks and stains on your roof, loss of color, granules in your downspouts or on the ground, think of Findlay First. The roof guys. They offer 0% financing. Schedule your free roof analysis at findlayroofing.com. Roof.
A Total Plumbing is now part of your trusted Ace Hardware Home Services team. Their expert plumbers are ready to provide top-notch service and repairs. Visit a-totalplumbing.com to learn more. A Total Plumbing and Ace Hardware Home Services, bringing helpful to your home.
It's Eric. Are you thinking of adding value to your house, or just you want more convenience and more comfort in your kitchen? Frugal Kitchens can get you one of those $1 million home kitchens at a fraction of the cost. They want to talk to you about how you can go through their process, get your new dream kitchen up and going, and you can be cooking in 5 days from the start of construction and get 18 months no interest financing available. It's what Christy and I have done. Life happens in your kitchen, and Frugal Kitchens can put you in a great one. FrugalKitchens.com.
Are the effects of diabetes, prostate cancer, hypertension, or high cholesterol robbing you of your ability to perform in the bedroom? Choice Men's Health can help you eliminate ED and get your bedroom performance back in just one visit. Choice Men's Health offers breakthrough treatments for ED and performance issues in the bedroom to help you regain your confidence and give you back the intimacy with your partner. Call Choice Men's Health right now to make an appointment and find out how you can eliminate ED on the first visit. Popular name brand pills like Viagra and Cialis don't work for everyone and can have serious side effects. Choice Men's Health custom medications work immediately, even if you have a medical history or think you're too old to perform like you used to. Choice Men's Health can help you have a fulfilling sex life again. Call Choice Men's Health today at 404-400-1170. That's 404-400-1170. Once again, that's 404-400-1170.
95.5 WSB, your 2024 election station.
Join Eric's Army of Activists. Text ARMY to 33777 now.
Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number 877-973-7425. I need to play you one of the funniest moments from the gathering. So let me set the scene for you. We had people from 47 states there, every single radio market that I'm in. And y'all may not realize it, but I'm in like Salem, Oregon right now, and Las Vegas, Phoenix, and Tucson. We had a number of people from KRMG in Tulsa, WDBO in Orlando, WOKV in Jacksonville, other Cox stations, WGAU. We had a lot of people in every market, including WTIC and WICC up in Connecticut. We had people, in fact, one of the ones from Connecticut, it was a couple, and the man wanted me to know they hated my guts when I got on the radio station, but they kept listening, and now they love me, and they came to the gathering. They were great to meet them. But one of the funny moments was we had a guy from Canada there, and all the crowd could submit questions. I wove them into the conversation. This one I particularly wanted to call out because he's one of those snowbirds who stays in Florida for the winter and then drives back to Canada, and he wanted to know Ron DeSantis' thoughts on Justin Trudeau.
So all I can say is this. Justin Trudeau, since he has been Prime Minister of Canada, number of Stanley Cups for Canada, 0. Governor Ron DeSantis, number of Stanley Cups for the state of Florida since I've been governor, 3. Who's winning that battle?
Well played. Yeah, that was well played. It was a great line by Ron DeSantis there. It is remarkable. The entirety of the nation of Canada said no Stanley Cups in the last number of years. I still can't believe that Florida even has hockey teams. It's a sign of the amount of snowbirds who fly down to Florida and just have stayed. All the Yankees moving to Florida, and now they all drive north on I-95 and 75 through Georgia, wrecking absolute havoc on our traffic. Nonetheless, all right, I got to move on. I got to meet one of the guys in charge of Old Glory Bank at the gathering. He and his wife came. Super people, very, very nice. And I love those guys at that bank. It's a conservative bank. It's by conservatives for conservatives. In fact, I mentioned on stage even that they are so concerned about progressives buying up stock in banks and forcing the left-wing agenda on banks that they were concerned enough that they decided to find a different way to find investors to invest in the bank, and I became one of them. I used the bank before I invested in the bank. I used the bank before I advertised for the bank. I just love them. OldGloryBank.com. You can go get an account with them. They've got no fee checking, no fee savings. They've got incredible apps. They've found a way for you to be able to deposit cash into your online bank account. They're highly innovative. They do mortgages and other loans. They've got business checking. You're not going to get canceled if you're a gun store and you need a business to do business with, a bank to do business with. Consider Old Glory Bank. They were started because of the cancellation trend in banks, particularly for gun owners. Great bank. OldGloryBank.com. OldGloryBank.com. Get an account in less than 8 minutes. OldGloryBank.com. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender. Terms and conditions apply.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2:30, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top local story. A pedestrian is struck and killed today by a CSX train off Howard Street and Blayton Circle in northwest Atlanta. CSX says the person was trespassing on the tracks when they were hit, and this is the second crash involving a CSX train in metro Atlanta today. 2 men were injured when they were struck by a train in Cobb County early this morning.
Cobb County police officers received a call regarding an incident where 2 pedestrians were on the train tracks and were struck by a train near West Atlanta Street and Oak Ridge Drive.
Officer Aaron Wilson with Cobb Police says one victim has serious leg and head injuries. The second victim is stable. Both are getting treatment at Wellstar Kennestone Hospital. Elon Musk is set to interview former President Trump tonight on X.
Donald Trump, remember, has been not on Twitter, or X as it's now called. His account was suspended after the January 6th attacks. It was reinstated shortly after Musk took over Twitter and renamed renamed it X. Musk is a big supporter of Donald Trump, not only in support but also financially. And so this will be a friendly kind of interview.
CBS's Caitlin Huey-Burns reports Musk endorsed Trump shortly after the attempted assassination of the former president. Forecasters at the National Hurricane Center say another tropical storm may be developing near the island of Antigua. They say it could become a named storm by the end of the day. It would be named Ernesto. It could hit Puerto Rico this week. Parts of the East Coast, including Savannah, are still recovering from Debbie. A new study serves as a warning to parents about letting their kids use tablets.
The study in JAMA Pediatrics found kids using tablets when they were 3.5 years old express more anger and frustration in the following 2 years, suggesting it's contributing to a cycle that's harmful.
Stacy Lynn reports the researchers say this is because during early childhood, kids are just learning to regulate their emotions. It is 2:32.
Did you know that eating healthier and more delicious food is not only good for you, but affordable as well? Hi, it's Sue from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minute. At the Bread Becker store in Woodstock, we can teach you how to make real, delicious bread loaded with fiber and nutrients from real whole grains. A healthy, delicious, and affordable solution for your family. Eating real bread will satisfy your hunger and greatly reduce the amount of food you need to eat. Plus, your improved health from eating real bread may even reduce the need for frequent doctor visits. That's what Real Bread did for our family. 2 doctor visits with 9 kids in 25 years. I have a degree in food science, and for more than 30 years, I've studied the incredible health benefits of whole grains and real bread. So if you're struggling with bowel issues, high cholesterol, weight gain, warts, or kids who seem to be constantly sick, take the first steps to a healthier, more affordable life. Visit onlyrealbread.com. The Bread Beckers, onlyrealbread.com.
Death, taxes, and foundation repair your home. 3 things guaranteed in life. Y'all, it's Eric for Engineered Solutions of Georgia. If you start seeing cracks in your wall, a major sign of home foundation issues, call 678-ESOG now. Get a free home inspection. They're the only company in Georgia with a team of licensed engineers on staff. 678-ESOG now. Get a free home inspection. 678-ESOG now.
Dial 678-ESOG now.
We weren't planning on selling our home, but our family's needs changed. I'm Caitlin, and selling our home with a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate was the best decision we made for our family. With over 11,000 5-star reviews, I had peace of mind knowing I could trust Mark Spain Real Estate to sell our home fast and for more than we were asking. If you're preparing to move, check out Mark Spain Real Estate's guaranteed offer. Go to markspain.com and see what their guaranteed offer would be on your home. There's no obligation. That's markspain.com and start packing.
Hey, it's Shelley Winter here, and I'm co-hosting a brand new show on Saturdays at noon called The Car Guys with my good friend and brother Kevin Deutsch from Butler Lexus of South Atlanta. Kevin brings over 40 years of automotive knowledge, so join us Saturdays noon to 1 right here on 95.5 WSB.
Monica Pearson for Superior Plumbing. Do you have a plumbing issue but have a busy weekday schedule? Superior Plumbing can schedule an appointment that fits your schedule. They show up on time and get the job done right the first time. Locally owned and operated for over 40 years.
At 2:34, Veronica Harrell in the traffic center.
Right now, watching volume downtown, connector 7585 north and south between I-20 and 17th Street, and also watching some volume over on the East Freeway, I-20 westbound as you ramp on to 285. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Mostly sunny with low humidity today, high 91.
Right now, it's 90 in Lawrenceville, 86 in Kennesaw, 88 in College Park. More news at 3 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
Smart, fearless, and occasionally funny. You're listening to The Eric Erickson Show.
Hello there. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. We're monitoring this story right now. Israel has put its military on high alert. And also, the Navy is rushing ships into the area as quickly as possible, a guided missile submarine and a second aircraft carrier. The USS Georgia is the submarine headed in. You got the aircraft carrier going. There was already one there. Intelligence reports expect that Iran will begin launching its attack before Thursday, before hostage negotiations resume. It's an escalating situation there. Could be the outbreak of a regional war. We will see. It looks like they're coordinated a response with Hezbollah. So stay tuned as these things continue to progress. I want to talk a little bit about, well, the ongoing woke insanity in corporate America. One of the conversations that came up at the gathering was the Securities and Exchange Commission expanding its mission beyond scope of its mandate from Congress that essentially incentivizes progressivism within corporations. And some corporations don't need all that much help. As you know, I fly on Delta Airlines. I pretty much fly exclusively on Delta. I can't remember the last time I flew on an airline other than Delta. And I actually like the airline. Have a lot of listeners who are Delta employees. And the thing about flying is it's science. It's physics. The shape of a wing, the air over the wing has to move faster than the air under the wing as the plane moves. That causes lift. Flaps are then deployed to redirect the airflow to tilt the nose of the plane up, and the plane can fly. It's actually fascinating. And what's so fascinating about it is, in human perspective, it was less than 60 years from the Wright brothers to us going to outer space. In less than 100 years from Orville and Wilbur Wright taking off in Kitty Hawk, we landed a man safely on the moon and brought him back to Earth. It's incredible. Mankind has left the solar system with Voyager. Flight and rocketry, it's amazing. But I worry about companies that are foundationally companies based in physics, which Delta Airlines is. It's a company that flies planes for a living and resorts to the woke madness of the era. A video has come out of a Zoom call of the chief diversity officer of Delta Airlines. Listen to this.
But the other more subtle forms of communications, I would call them the little c communications. They might even be verbal communications. So we're beginning to take a hard look at things like our gatehouse announcements. You know, we welcome ladies and gentlemen, and we've asked ourselves, is that as gender inclusive as we want to be? You know, we're looking at some legacy language that exists in some of our employee manuals and getting to the root of the way some things are described and saying, does that actually send a message of inclusivity? So I think,
ladies and gentlemen, if you can't say ladies and gentlemen because it's not inclusive enough, you're broken. You're broken. The chief diversity officer at Delta says the company is wondering whether or not it's inclusive enough to say ladies and gentlemen. It's good manners. It's politeness. I forget who said it now, and it drives me crazy that I forget who said it. But there is a great quote out there that good manners is the social lubrication that makes a society function. It's why you be nice to people who aren't nice to you. It's why political opponents still call each other and congratulate each other even though they lost and they hate each other guts. It's the social lubrication that keeps society functioning. Ladies and gentlemen is good manners. And you'll note that the only people who are angry about ladies and gentlemen are the angriest people in the trans community. And they are not even 0.1% of the population. That a company as massive as Delta Airlines, one of the largest air carriers in the world, will turn itself upside down and inside out to placate less than 0.1% of people who might be offended by ladies and gentlemen, as opposed to the tried and the true use of good manners, is a damning indictment on the culture of the company, frankly. And this isn't the first time. I mean, Delta, of course, has lobbied against the Religious Freedom Restoration Act and other things like that. Look, I respect the CEO. I respect the company. I use them on a regular basis. They're a good company. I'm a million miler on Delta as of a month or two ago. But the political correctness, I mean, during the month of June, all the employees get to wear their pride symbols and stuff. God forbid they're wearing stuff to celebrate Jesus or their Star of David. Heard the other day somebody got in trouble finally for wearing a pro-Palestinian thing. A Jewish customer complained, and they cut that out. But the level of wokeism within the Fortune 500, the fact that you're worried about inclusivity and the use of the phrase ladies and gentlemen, that actually is nuts. That is actually overeducated nonsense to have a chief diversity officer worried about ladies and gentlemen. That there are people in the country who are offended by that. They are not just the minority, they're the angry people. This isn't about inclusion. It's about succumbing to the bullying of a rabid mob. And that Delta would even consider succumbing to the bullying of a rabid mob of less than 0.1% of the population is a warning sign for that company. Because if you fold to the one madness, you will fold to the next madness, and you will fold to the next madness. And this is the beginning of the madness, not the end of the madness. So to the extent that they would even have the audacity to think that ladies and gentlemen needs to be dropped from the gatehouse where they make their announcement, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to begin boarding. It's kind of a troubling sign that a company that would actually ultimately be based on the physics of flying would embrace the anti-science moral panic of the day from the angry mob of transgender activists. I mean, y'all, come on. Ladies and gentlemen, is a tried and true effort to good manners. What are they going to do? Folks, y'all, now it is Delta. They are from Georgia. They can say, y'all, we're about to get ready to do this. All y'all, we're going to do this. Folks, spelled with an X so that we can be politically correct. Folks with an X, that's how we're saying it, folks. Read the X, it's not a K. Or just, ladies and gentlemen, it's tried and true. It's good manners. And there's no need to placate the angry, small minority of people in the name of gender inclusion. Delta, I don't know if you know this or not, but there actually are only two genders, male and female. Anyone who says otherwise is nuts. Why are you giving the nuts the heckler's veto over your business? Now, I'll shift gears now that I got that off my chest. The Navy's ability to build lower-cost warships that can shoot down Houthi rebel missiles in the Red Sea depends in part on a 25-year-old laborer who previously made parts for garbage trucks. Lucas Andriani, a welder in Fincartieri Marionette Marine in Marionette, Wisconsin, is among thousands of young workers who have received employer-sponsored training nationwide as shipyards struggle to hire and retain employees. The labor shortage is one of myriad challenges that has led to backlogs in ship production and maintenance at a time when the Navy faces expanding global threats. Combined with shifting defense priorities, last-minute design changes, and cost overruns, it's put the U.S. behind China in the number of ships at its disposal, and the gap is widening. Navy shipbuilding is currently in a terrible state, the worst in a quarter century, says Eric Labs, a longtime naval analyst at the Congressional Budget Office. I feel alarmed, he said. I don't see a fast, easy way to get out of this problem. It's taken us a long time to get into it. Marionette Marine is under contract to build 6 guided missile frigates, the Navy's newest surface warships, with options to build 4 more. But it only has enough workers to produce 1 frigate a year. One of the problems is the struggle to hire and retain laborers for the challenging work of building new ships as grain veterans retire, taking decades of experience with them. This is from ABC News. This comes as the Navy is sending a second aircraft carrier group and a submarine into the Middle East. We're falling behind the Chinese. There's actually now recruiting ads for the shipbuilding industry, actual recruiting ads for the shipbuilding industry. Not only that, there's an early warning indicator that we're slipping into recession in that hourly work is dropping. People are actually dropping hourly workers in the economy right now, so the number of unemployed people is going up. Maybe we need to move them up to Wisconsin to build ships, because many of them don't want to go to the cold weather. They should want to go for a fine Miller Lite, but not the cold weather. Sell them on the Miller Lights and the Green Bay Packers, and they might want to move to Wisconsin. Otherwise, I don't know. We got problems economically in this country. The Wall Street Journal has a story out today. Child care rent insurance, where inflation hits hardest now. The big fixed costs in our life are tough to avoid, and they're the ones causing people all sorts of problems with inflation. Water, sewer, trash collection prices are up. Food and beverages are up. Costs of shelter are up. Costs of services are up. Costs of insurance up. The things we can't live without. I don't know if you know this or not, but if you own a car in this country, you're required to have insurance on it. Car insurance has skyrocketed. Insurance for your home has skyrocketed. And in the meantime, it is causing us problems with building ships for our Navy. Both the weird economy we're in and also the costs that are skyrocketing. We're having trouble keeping up. The Chinese are kicking our butt in ship production right now. We don't have enough people. Now, they're starting to run out of people in China, but they still have enough. They still got 1 billion people to be able to do this, some of them forced labor, no less. Now, the Chinese ships aren't all that great, just so you understand. They had their flagship aircraft carrier. Not only did it catch on fire, it broke in half. Like on the sea, it broke in half. There's a problem there, clearly. We make better ships. We just make far fewer of them, and we need more of them, particularly if a war is coming. Meanwhile, we're having to deploy them into the Middle East as the situation heats up there with Israel. And the situation heating up with Israel, Hezbollah, and Iran, we're going to become targets. Remember, the Iranians blamed the United States for the attack inside Iran that killed the Hamas leader. We know we're going to be targeted. We know we're going to be targeted. We have so many things to fix in this country. If only we had a presidential candidate who could articulate those things and stay focused on that message. Oh, what a world it would be if we could do that. Now, before I get out of here, you know, I mentioned the quote about good manners being the social lubrication. I am told by various emailers it's Robert Heinlein, or it's Leon Trotsky, or it's Jane Austen, or it's someone else. So it's Heinlein, it's Jane Austen, or it's Trotsky. It actually appears to be a Heinlein quote that Jane Austen actually wrote that maybe Trotsky parroted as well, in an amalgamation of all these people. It's still a good observation that good manners is the lubrication that keeps our society running. So maybe we shouldn't give up our good manners and our ladies and gentlemen being polite in favor of the mob. One of the great organizations that stands up to the mob in education and indoctrination is Hillsdale College. They would sure love to have your support, and I'd love for you to support them. EricForHillsdale.com. It's a tax-deductible donation. You can get Primus from Hillsdale College and so much more. You can take free courses on the Constitution, but also you can support their effort to expand classical education through the K through 12 level. It's completely donor supported. They got to have donors to do this. They've built a program for K through 12 for charter schools, public schools, private schools, and homeschools. It's a brilliant program, and I would absolutely love for you to support them at Eric, E-R-I-C-K, EricForHillsdale.com. If you go to EricForHillsdale.com, you can find out more. You can find their donation portal to make a tax-deductible donation. You can find out about their mission to educate, not indoctrinate, the future of America, the K through 12 level, and of course the collegiate level with fantastic Hillsdale College. So go check them out today, EricForHillsdale.com. Support Hillsdale College with me, and we can shape the minds of a better tomorrow here in the country.
You can follow Eric around on social media at EW Erickson on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And check him out at EWErickson.com.
250 in the Coolray Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. Well, authorities had to hold all lanes just temporarily to clear a stalled motorist 85 northbound up around North Druid Hills, exit 89. Lanes should be back open. They had to remove it from the left lane and get it off to the right, so that's why they had to block those lanes. A downtown connector watching volume both directions, 75, 85 north and southbound. And elsewhere, a crash has cleared over on Camp Creek Parkway westbound at Washington Road. Still, you're dealing with some delays. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
It pays to have the WSB radio app. Download it today and get ready for the Blitz.
The WSB 5K a day bonus blitz. 5 chances every weekday to win $1,000.
Your next chance to win is coming up today at 5. It's a Blitz.
The WSB 5K a day bonus blitz.
From 95.5 WSB.
Download the WSB radio app now.
We've all heard it before. Buy one, get one Windows. 10% off if you call today. $500 off if you sign tonight. But are these really a special? If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Hi, this is Candace with Exovations, and have I got a tip for you. Don't fall for it. It's exhausting trying to keep up with all the fake specials being offered. And we all say the same thing. We're all licensed, we're all insured, we all have 5-star reviews. At Exovations, we want to earn your business the right way. But don't take our word for it. Let us show you why we say we are different from other contractors. To find out what it means to have an on-time, on-budget, and stress-free renovation, call me today at 770-205-2995 or online at exovations.com. That's exovations.com.
Men, if you're suffering from ED or PE, Priority Men's Medical Center will get your sex life back in just one visit. Their painless, breakthrough medical treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Priority Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Priority Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments will restore your sex life regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. Plus, you'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients will have their testosterone checked free. Call 404-885-8885. 404-885-8885. To regain your sex life in just one visit, call now. 404-885-8885.
WSB Atlanta, WSB BFM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Texting enrolls you in a reoccurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
10.
Nice work.
Thanks. Taking Nugenix Total T makes a huge difference for me.
Nugenix. That's the testosterone booster with TV ads with Frank Thomas, right?
Yes.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles?
Yes. Nugenix is a great way to feel stronger with more energy and endurance. And as Frank says, she'll like it too.
Text radio to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix. Text RADIO to 321-321. That's radio to 321-321.
Don't let spring allergies make you miserable. Try the quick, drug-free solution trusted by over 4 million people, Navage. Only Navage uses suction to flush out your sinuses using refreshing saline, helping you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier. And here's even better news. Navage is now available at your local Sam's Club in a great new value pack. It's everything you need to start breathing better immediately at Sam's guaranteed best price. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Breathe easy.
All the news, weather, and traffic you need. 95.5 WSB.
Get the podcast, live stream, email, and social media links by texting Eric to 33777 now.
A listener says if anyone at Delta is listening, just cut to the chase and just start saying comrades instead of ladies and gentlemen, because that's clearly where they're headed. Not bad advice. Hey, I don't care where you are in the nation. I want to see if you might do a favor for me and offer up a prayer for the football team at Rome High School in Rome, Georgia. Rome High School was in a match, and on their way home, the players were on the bus, and a 21-year-old who was drunk crossed the center lane, hit the bus head-on. The bus, rolled 3 or 4 times, going about 60 miles an hour. None of the players were killed, thank God, or seriously injured, but head trauma and things like that on the school bus. So if you would please offer up prayers for the Rome High School in Rome, Georgia, for their football team. All of those players now recovering from a crash. They were on the school bus when a drunk driver hit the bus. Appreciate that. Now, I want to close out here with Mike Pence. Mike Pence came to the gathering. He's a longtime friend of mine. I've known Mike Pence for 20 years or so. And Pence, I asked him about the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. He had not spoken publicly about it, and this is some of what he said.
Now, I should mention, because this is my first time in a public forum to address it, I thank God that President Donald Trump was spared in Butler, Pennsylvania. Karen and I, we were in a plane, we just landed, and I got a text from someone watching it in real time. It took my breath away when I heard of the shot had come from 150 yards away, having lived with Secret Service for 4 years. I couldn't believe it. But I also knew that while the president had stood, and I truly do, I wasn't surprised, but I truly admired the way the president stood up and raised his fist and walked off that stage. But I just reached over on that airplane, I grabbed Karen's hand, and I said, we're going to pray right now. Because while they were reporting that he had gotten off safe, I knew Reagan didn't know he was shot when they put him in the limo. And we just prayed earnestly, and we urged people around the country to pray. And I understand that shaped the environment going into the development of the platform, which would be minted a couple days later. But, I have to tell you that the fact that we have a platform that removed 50 years of pro-life language, made no mention of the national debt, advocated massive taxes at our borders, and abandoning commitments that we have to allies around the world was deeply troubling to me and deeply disappointing.
That's Mike Pence. Wide-ranging discussion with him on stage. I appreciate his comments and the newsworthiness. He made clear he's staying out of the 2024 race in large part because he thinks those on the right who care about issues need to speak plainly, truthfully, and lovingly to the Trump campaign. Now, we've been overwhelmed with calls today from people saying, how do I do that? Because I'm concerned. I want to tell him to focus. Well, you can add him on Twitter. He's back on Twitter as of today. His campaign may pay attention to that. But honestly, find your local Republican Party, your state party. Call your Georgia party, your Texas party, your California Republican Party. Express your concerns that Trump's off message. Oh, they'll be relaying those to the campaign. You trust me. Call the RNC. He needs to focus. He needs to rest and reset, just like the first caller on the show today said.
WSB consumer expert Clark Howard.
It's so tempting when you're trying to buy a gift for someone, you're out of time or whatever, or you're doing something special for your employees, to go buy them a gift card. And you may have heard about the problems with what's known as draining, where you buy a gift card for someone and before they can use it, the money's gone. Well, now there's a big problem with the Visa product that is called the Vanilla gift card. And repeatedly, people who buy those to give to someone as a gift, when the person goes to use that Visa gift card, known as Vanilla, there's no money on it. This is because of the lack of security in retailers where you buy gift cards. They're out in the open. Criminals run out of the store with those cards, steal the information off of them, put them back on the shelf. You buy it, and then they're checking, and then as soon as it's active, they steal the money. I'm Clark Howard.
News, weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's news and talk.
At 3 o'clock, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top local story. CSX says it's an unfortunate reminder of the very real dangers of trespassing on railroad property. A person is struck and killed today by a CSX train while walking